Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second episode of Veteran's Voice. Today, we're joined by a very special guest, Steve Brown, former Pathfinder of 27 years and author of a number of books, such as Regimental, Meathead, Who Be Nuts To, and Don't Ask. Steve, thanks for joining us.
It's not mess. I know. I realise it looks a bit like mess heads, but it's actually
Oh.
meatheads.
Sorry, mate.
It's all right. It's all right, mate.
No.
I only realised it after I printed it. I realised what it looks like. Yeah.
Well, Dave, in that case, then I'll just blame that on my dyslexia then.
Nice.
Anyway, thanks for joining us, Steve. It's much appreciated for you taking the time to speak to us. For the people that don't really know who you are, would you mind giving a brief introduction to who you are?
Yeah. My name's Steve Brown. I was I was in the military. I was in a parachute regiment, British Army parachute regiment from 1993 to 2020. I was in the 3-para, and I was in the Pathfinders for quite a while, and I finished up as sergeant major of the Pathfinders, and we also worked at the survival school, the British military survival school, for quite a while as well, and I was the training sergeant major there for a few years as well. Is that enough, mate? Oh, and I left in 2020, and since then I've written a few books. I've written 5 books, like you just mentioned. I've just released one about a week, my last one about a week ago, and and I run a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club, and that's it, really, mate. Yeah, that's me.
Safe to say you're a really busy guy then.
Not as busy as I used to be, mate. I'm trying my best not to be busy. I'm trying my best.
Well, first question I've got to ask you, mate, is what made you want to join the Paras? Any sort of regiment or anything like that? Why the Paras? What drew you to them?
Well, I watched a TV show when I was a young lad, about 8 years old, I think, about the parachute regiment. You're too young, you probably haven't seen it, but it is on YouTube. And it follows a platoon of parachute regiment recruits going through depot. And I watched that when I was young. I really, really enjoyed it. I couldn't wait to watch it. It was on like once a week. We had an old black and white TV. I used to sit there and wait for that to come on. And I always say to people, I can still hear the theme tune to it now in my head. And I really, really liked it. I think my mum also, maybe militarily wise, I was interested. My mum went out with a guy who's Army Air Corps when I was young as well. And I kind of looked, I was only little, but, he seemed like a good bloke. He took us to his base once, I think. We could walked on a helicopter and stuff. But that really got me looking into it. And the Falklands War was pretty much around the same time as that TV show as well. And obviously that was really big. And I was old enough. I was still only young, but I was old enough to know what was going on with that. And all the news was mostly about, everyone knew about Parachute Regiment. Parachute Regiment and Marines really were the 2 units that everybody knew about. And if I asked my mum or who's the best, she'd say, Paras are really good and the Marines are really good. So yeah, it was, I wanted to, if I was going to join up, I wanted to join up what I thought was going to be the best. So yeah, I just went for Para Regiment.
So what was the process for you to become a Para?
Well, I went down to the careers office. I actually had to wait a while because I was quite a bad kid for a while. I went off the rails for a little bit, and I'd actually got a criminal conviction, so I had to wait until that was finished. I got a lenient sentence, but I basically had a 12-month conditional discharge when I was just after I'd left school, I think that was. So I had to wait until that was finished before I could apply. And once that was over, I applied. I don't think there's many around anymore, but I used to get careers offices dotted around. I'm not sure. I haven't seen one for a long, long time. But yeah, I went into the careers office, basically said to the bloke in there, I want to join. I didn't know at the time. I wasn't 100%. All I knew about was Parachute Regiment and Marines, just from what's seen on telly and what people had told me. And I said, I want to join the Paras or the Marines. And he said, well, he said, if you want to join the Paras, their army, you have to talk to me. And he was in DPM, green camouflage. And he said, if you want to join the Marines, you need to talk to him over there. And there's a guy dressed up all in white, like ice cream salesman type stuff. I was like, I don't want to talk to him. I want to talk to you. I said, I want to join the Paras. I just straight away, I was like, no, I don't want to talk to him. Then I'll talk to you. And then, I talked to this guy who's actually in the Green Jackets. He tried to get me to go to Green Jackets. Did his best to convince me that they were the best. But no, ultimately I stuck to my guns. Joined Reg, and took me quite a while actually. Took quite because I think I applied initially in about September '92, something like that. I still got all my paperwork actually, and I didn't actually start depot until end of May the 31st, '93. So I think there was probably a lot of people trying to join up at the time. But yeah, it wasn't too long. I suppose it wasn't too long after the first Gulf War, so there's probably a lot of people joining up still on the back end of that, because that had been all over the telly. I'd watched that as a kid. I watched, I used to stay up and watch the news to see what was going on with that. I found it very interesting. But yeah, and then obviously it took me a while, and then joined depot May the 31st, '93, and then 6 months later, got spat out, passed out as a parachute regiment soldier, and went to 3-para.
So, how long was it were you with the 3-para before you ended up going for the Pathfinders?
I was in 3-para. Well, my first day in 3-para was 1994, January '94, after Christmas leave, after depot, and then I went to Pathfinders. I went on Pathfinder selection in October '99. So I was still a private when I started. I actually got promoted during the Pathfinder Carter. I got picked up on that. I got sung straight away. Actually, I got told by the course sergeant major, Pathfinder sergeant major, I've been promoted, kind of in a congratulatory way. But then he told me, right, now you're a lance, now you're an NCO, you're duty NCO. So I was like, brilliant. So I got my first duty straight away. But 1999. So about 5 years in battalion in 3-para, which was brilliant. And then off to the PF in end of '99.
And this was around about the time when you were first deployed to Sri Lanka. No, sorry, Sierra Leone. My apologies.
Sri Lanka, I haven't been there yet. Yeah, Sierra Leone. Yeah, it wasn't long after that, mate. Yeah, I'd only been in the PF probably. I'm trying to think. I did the PF Carter October. Probably went on Christmas leave after that. It would have been not long after that. And then we went to Sierra Leone in, I think it was April 2000. So yeah, I was still pretty new, I knew most of the blokes. Obviously, it's only a small unit, so I'd made some mates. I knew everybody was well enough to be settled down, a little bit settled down, and went off on my first tour with the Pathfinders I think it was April 2000. Yeah, that was really good. A really good way to bed in with the blokes, to go on a tour.
What was your first reaction when you were told that you were being deployed?
Really surprised. I had no idea. I had no idea there was even any possibility of it happening. To be honest, I was actually due to start my sniper course, because what happens in the Pathfinder, well, what used to happen, probably still happens, is a lot of the new intake go on a sniper course. There's always a good number. Normally, like at least about 4 blokes will go and do the sniper course straight away. And I'd always wanted to do the sniper course, so I was quite happy with that. So I was prepped and packed to go on the sniper course starting on the Sunday, and then on the Friday. On the Friday, we had a warning order. Basically, we were all just about to go home, or go on the lash anyway, and we got warned over a landline, like, don't go anywhere too far away, because we might be going somewhere. And then it was like, don't go anywhere at all. And then it was like, get down the compound, and we had a brief that we were off to Sierra Leone. So I just adjusted my Bergen and my kit that I was packed for the sniper car, and off we went. The next day we left. I think we left. That was Friday afternoon. Saturday, I think we left on Saturday, and we were there by Sunday, in Sierra Leone by Sunday. It took about 48 hours from flash to bang. It's really good. That's a whole battle group, like 1-para. A company, I think it was all of 1-para, a company of 2-para, and us, the Pathfinders, and other assets as well. Engineers, artillery, signals, obviously medics. The whole battle group there in 48 hours. Really impressive. Really impressive.
What was the living conditions like when you were deployed there?
But we're just out in the jungle, mate. For most of it. So we're just like we kind of, I can't remember where we went. I think there was a headquarters in a hotel or something. We went in. We went there. I think all the sort of head honchos were in. I think they were living there in a hotel in Freetown. But we just we just got our kit together and packed for. We got told we were going out on the ground for 2 days. I'm pretty sure we got told it's going to be a 48-hour serial, and then we just had day sacks and webbing. And we ended up out in this jungle village for, I think, 3 weeks. So it was really good, really good. It was, but it's classic kind of soldiering, you know, and the whole operation really proves the kind of capability of the Airborne Brigade, or the Air Mobile, or whatever you want to call it, Air Assault Brigade. They can go from, you know, a warning order to being deployed in 48 hours, and then do a really good job once they're on the ground. You know, pretty much self-sustaining. So we're just living on the ground, mate. You know, just sleeping on the floor, and we had like probably a poncho between two, stuff like that, and just a bit of scoff, you know, couple of days rations, and then we just got resupplied when we realised we were out there for a bit longer. Obviously, just getting our water from a local stream, supplementing our food with a bit of wild food from the locals, you know, chickens, and the blokes were eating snails, some snake, and it was really good. There's some stories written about it in the newspapers. It's quite good.
When you were deployed there, what was the locals' reaction to you? Was it a positive reaction, or did you receive a negative reaction?
When we deployed out?
Yeah. Were the locals positive towards you, or were some displaying any negativity towards you?
Yeah, on the face of it, they were mostly positive. There was some Nigerian soldiers in the village we went to, and they weren't very popular. I know some of them were, but some of them weren't. They were quite brutal. And Nigerian UN soldiers, they'd been there for quite a while, and the Sierra Leone, the rebels hated them, really hated them. But they were quite brutal. They were mega suspicious of all the locals, so they were like just smashing them around with sticks and beating them up if they didn't show them a sign of respect. So I think when we got there, they realised we weren't like that. There's less than 30 of us on the ground. I think it was 20. I always forget. I think it was 26, 28 of us, something like that, on the ground. And they were pretty good with us. They were pretty good. We did dick them around a little bit, but not in a bad way. Just like we had to carry out searches and stuff. You know, keep stopping people when they're trying to get to places in their vehicles. And every time you stop a wagon, it would conk out. There'd be like 50 people in and on a minibus. You'd be like, right, I need to get everybody off, you know. But they weren't too happy because they knew the wagon was going to conk out, and it would take ages to get them all off. It was like a cartoon. It was like the people getting fed in through one door and then coming out. They just kept coming off, like a minibus. You know, we were just laughing. We ended up counting them, like you can see which trying to guess how many marbles are in the jar, like that. Guess how many people are on this thing here, and there'd be loads and loads. And we'd get them off, just have a quick look, you know, just checking for weapons, and mainly checking for weapons or any sort of obvious bad guys. Not that you'd be able to tell unless someone pointed them out to you. They were good. Overall, they were good, even when they dicked them around getting on and off their vehicles, you know, to just get back on. They're bump started. They're really good at getting them going again. Bump started, all jump on and bugger off. But to be fair, once they realised there was British soldiers there, in the village we were in, loads of people started coming our way, seeking safety. So we were getting, in the first day there'd be a few. After a couple of days, there was hundreds of people coming through. Yeah, probably thousands. And they're either just coming through our position to get further away from the fighting, or they'd just come to our position and just sort of stay locally and just under our protection, basically. So yeah, majority of them, most of the people were actually were good, mate, and apart from the ones that were obviously really anti, but they kept their heads down, you know. The reaction from the people was good. So it's quite, you felt a bit jacked when you left them, really, because they were mega. They'd gone out of their way to come and get some safety from us, and then after a few weeks, we were like up sticks and fucked off and left them. and they're probably quite scared after we'd left because that protection had gone, you know. But yeah, the people were sound, mate. And we had people with the locals digging in defences for us, defensive positions like trenches. They cleared a massive amount of jungle for us. It was just unbelievable amount. You know, stuff I've written about. It's just amazing how they raised the jungle to the ground with their local knowledge. You know, using fires, mainly fires and machetes. I saw it going on. I thought, fucking what? I thought they're going to set the whole jungle on fire, you know. But they just controlled it really, really well. They've done it, you know. It's just what they do. And you know, we wouldn't have been able to do it. But basically, our sergeant major was like, we need to be able to see if anyone's coming. We need some fields of view, fields of fire. Explained it to him, you know, what he wanted, and they just absolutely smashed it to the ground within a few hours. Amazing, yeah. Sticking around my
So, it's all right, mate.
All right. I've got it plugged in, but the plug's not turned on, so it should be all right now.
It's all right, mate. Well, during this period, me and Darryl were just little kids at the time, so we never know much about it. The rebels themselves, how would you describe their movement? How the way of doing things? Were they an effective force, or were they just a rabble? How would you describe their actions?
Well, it was a bit hit and miss, mate, because they were fucking mental. They were off their nut on drugs and stuff. So the briefing we got it was quite random, really. It's different people got told different numbers. I got told it was either 600 or 800. It's a long time ago. Rebels advancing towards this village. This is how I remember it. This is how I remember what we got told. 600 to 800 rebels. They're marching towards the village. They're smashing up all the other villages en route. They're just chopping people up to bits. They're just absolutely savage. Most of the work was dirty machetes, just chopping arms off, legs off, cutting open pregnant women and pulling out the unborn baby. And they're just basically getting kids to murder their parents and then saying, right, you've got no one now and you might as well come with us. Smashing them full of, I don't know what it would have been, crack cocaine probably. And they're just off the head, telling them they're bulletproof. Once they're off their head on drugs, yeah, this stuff makes you bulletproof. And get this up your nose, sort of thing. So there's a lot of young lads and men. Some of them, you know, were kids, just smashing the place up. And they were heading out. We knew they were heading our way. We got basically what we got told was, you know, you just hold it as long as you can, and then make your way back to. I'm trying to think where our war IV was, but basically, get yourself back for the emergency rendezvous chain. Well, all right, so I was like, fucking hell, you know, this is quite cheeky. It sounded pretty horrendous, but a lot of them were just nuts. There's no real military training. They were just young lads with AK-47s and RPGs and thought they were bulletproof, and then we're just finding out, you know, once they come up against a trained force, they'd quickly find out they weren't fucking bulletproof. And that's probably quite a surprise to them. And then the tactics we got told was they would do a probing attack, they'd be probing attack, and then if that didn't work, they would surround somewhere 360 and just attack from all angles at the same time because they're fucking mental and they've got no sort of tactical knowledge or skills. So that's what we're expecting. But yeah, I mean, levels of training wise, I mean, obviously they were nowhere near, you know, the British Army sort of British Army standards. You know, one-on-one, they just had absolutely zero chance whatsoever.
So, following your deployment to Sierra Leone, was it the same year that you competed in a airborne competition representing the UK? Or was this the following year?
That's a good one, mate. I'd have to look in my notes, to be honest. I can't. I did a lot that first year. I did a hell of a lot, yeah, with a PF. I was really, really busy. I was hardly in camp at all. I did a few things, but with that, I can't remember. That would be, I did a couple of things like that. I'm not sure, mate. I did a competition out in Germany. So, yeah, we're representing the British military. That might have been that. That might well have been that. Yeah, we did like a military skills and a free fall competition. A military free, well, it was actually civilian free fall, but it was military people doing it. That might be the thing you're alluding to. Yeah, that first year in the Pathfinder was crazy busy, really, really busy. Pretty sure I did my first half of senior Brecken on that as well, which is that's a 3-month course. So I think I did the first 6 weeks of that in that year. Yeah, we went to Sierra Leone. We had another Carter in February, and then I went to Sweden. I'm pretty sure, and then I think I went to Kenya as well for quite a while as well, another sort of month or so. But yeah, I did a lot that first year. The first year in the Pathfinder is crazy. Well, the first couple of years, really. There's loads of sort of patrol skills you've got to learn. You obviously got to prove your worth. Obviously, if any Dickens come up, I'd put my hand up for them as well. So, I'm always happy to acknowledge when I'm on the new bloke. New blokes do shit jobs. That first year was crazy, mate. It was absolutely nuts. It's just like never in the block, ever.
So, see the Pathfinders themselves. I really should have asked this when I first mentioned the Pathfinders. What is the actual role of the Pathfinders for folk that don't know of them? Because we obviously understand the Paratroopers, but not as many folk understand who the Pathfinders are.
Yeah, so obviously the parachute, two battalions of the Parachute Regiment form up the fighting force, if you like, of the main fighting force of 16 Air Assault Brigade, the Airborne Brigade, and the reconnaissance element or the advanced force of that brigade is the Pathfinders. So, when the brigade or the brigade headquarters or the brigadier wants some information or intelligence on the ground prior to committing more soldiers, he just sends a small group of blokes in first, and that'd be the Pathfinders, to get a look at the ground. We'll try and get a bit of better knowledge of what's going on the ground, and then pass that information back up the chain to brigade so they can start making their plan with a bit of it. So they're not just making their plan blindly. They've actually got some ground truth for what's actually going on from people who've actually been there and seen it or watching it. That's a primary role of the Pathfinders. So and a method of entry is they can go in and the same ways as everybody else. I walk, drive, helicopter, but they've also got the added capabilities of they've got their own vehicle fleet. Everybody's mobility trained, so everybody's up to a good standard in like cross country driving and obviously navigation, and everybody's can do multiple parachute insertions, whether that's high altitude, high opening, hey-ho, or high altitude, low opening, halo, or static line parachuting. So you can get blokes on the ground covertly, nice and quiet, and start getting early information so people can start planning properly. That's their job.
I'm going to have to bring up a story that you mentioned in your book, because honestly, I just thought it was hilarious as I was reading it, because I've got a habit of doing this. And beforehand, it does actually work. When you were out on exercises in Wales, whilst I think you were yomping at the time, to try and keep yourself in a positive mind, you started greeting not only locals, but also the wildlife. And everybody was starting to think, what's going on here? What was the reason for you doing this?
Yeah, that's right. I think where you got that from. Yeah, well, based on the Pathfinder Carter, I was trying to encourage a couple of other blokes to do it, because you do a lot of hill walking, obviously navigation, carrying weight, proving that you can carry weight over arduous terrain for a long, at speed, over distance, and it can get quite boring. But especially if you're in a group march, even if you say doing a 10 miler or something like that, I've seen a lot of, and I used to take a lot of fitness as well as an army physical training instructor. So you can see people get in the zone and they're just like tunnel focus on the floor in front of them. You can see that really their brains are switching off. Normally when someone's just like completely not paying attention to anything, that's kind of, for me, that's a good indication they're probably about to go down. So, keep your mind active. Someone said to me a long time ago about waving at sheep. And he said, or I read it, or I saw it on a TV show. I can't even remember now. But it was like, right, if you see an animal, if you wave, in fact, it wasn't even that. It was if you pretend, I remember it now. If you pretend to see someone that you know and just wave, all right, it always works. It will release the chemicals in your brain that are telling you just seen someone you know, which will make you feel, I guess it's endorphins, make you feel good, because it's like, there's matey boy, I reckon I remember him, he's a mate of mine, sort of thing, even if there's no one there. And I started doing it. I was doing it to like animals instead, because I thought it looks a bit less mental if someone sees you do it. A little bit, just a little bit. So I was doing that, mate. And I still do it now. If I'm out and about for a few hours, if I get bored, I just say, "All right, mate, let's just talk to the sheep and the horses or the cows or whatever." All right, mate. They never answer, mate. I'm sure they can now. Yeah, they just shake their head and that. And I'm fucking what a monk. But and I was saying to some of the other blokes, one bloke in particular on one tab was just really, really, really struggling. He was just like pale, just focused on the floor. He wasn't talking. I said to him, mate, try and relax, just imagine you're out for a walk. Well, we were going we were shifting. It was on the order shot training area, actually. We were gunning for it, like, but he was in big. He was from, I can't remember, he was either an Anglian or I forget what the other one is now. Two Anglians or, I think it was a Viking or a poacher or a tiger. Either a poacher or a tiger, because they were saying, let the poacher's chasing a tiger. So he would have been, what are the tigers? I think they're PWRR. Anyway. But I said to him, like, here, mate, it's a really bit of useful information for you while you're in absolute shit state. And I said to him, just wave, pretend you've seen someone and wave over there. And he was having none of it. It didn't work for him. He didn't want to do it. He was fucked. He was gone. And then, I said to another bloke later on, try this. And he was just like, I'm not fucking doing that. But then, as the numbers whittled down, we all got quite friendly with each other, And by the time we were out in Wales, I was like waving at all the sheep and around on the training area. And I said to him, a couple of blokes started doing it as well. I said, it works. It works. I'm telling you now, it works. Just takes your mind off it, And there was a couple of blokes doing it by the end of it. But it does work. Yeah, if you're out and about and just feeling a bit bored or whatever, just feeling a bit shitty, just wave, and I don't know, it does something to your head. It works.
No, I agree with that. I 100% agree with that, because I do it as well. I get a lot of funny looks off people going past in the opposite direction when they see me waving at a cow or a sheep. But it does work.
Yeah. A mate of mine, a bloke called Andy Waddington, he's dead now, unfortunately. He's a really, really funny bloke. And I did my junior NCO carder with him. And we went out quite a few times. He'd do it just like walking around. First time I saw him do it was in a shopping centre. He used to do it for a bit of a laugh, to make everyone look. But at the same time, it made us all laugh. He'd just start shouting to like a crowd. I mean, first time I saw him do it, we were going down an escalator. I think we were in Guildford or something, shopping centre. And he used to shout, "Hey!" like that, really loud. I was like, I'm a lot more introverted than that. And I was like looking, thinking, who's he waving at? And then there's a few people, and then there's a few people like awkwardly waving back, thinking he was looking at them. He said to me later, he said, don't look anyone in the eye, just like look in a general direction, but look over the top of everybody, and loads of people will think you're looking at them. And he used to do it all the time. And it's quite embarrassing, because he do it really, really loud, but it was really, really funny. But that works as well. But you get a lot more, weird looks in a shopping centre.
Well, one time,
if you toot someone in your car, you're driving down the road and you toot someone, everyone in the car waves. They're just like that. You don't know they are.
Well,
they feel obliged to wave back. Makes you feel good.
Funny enough, on my way home from work one day, I was sharing a van with one of the joiners that I was working with at the time, and it was a long journey home, stuck in traffic and everything like that, in the middle of the city centre. We both stayed in the other end of the city, and radio shit, same song every 2 minutes. So he says, right, what should we do to pass the time? Then for some reason we came up with a game, so we decided how many people can we get to wave back at us. So we beat the horn and that, and we go, all right, mate, how's it going? I'll need to come up and see you. I've not seen you in a while. And you get the awkward, yeah. And the longer you're able to speak to someone, the more points you're getting.
No.
It's fucking stupid, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, well, people do it. They're not sure. If you're confident, they're like, "Shit, I can't remember this bloke." Yeah, it happens. It happens. No, I love it. I just stood outside of a cinema once and pretended I was from a radio station, a local radio station. I started interviewing people on the film that they just obviously just finished watching. And the bloke I was with was just like, and I was Tony, write that down, mate, write that down. And he was just like, what? And he's like pretending to get his notebook out, and he was like, "So where are you again?" I said, "I'm Steve. You're doing me." I was in a place called Aylesbury on leave, and I was saying, "Yeah, you know, Mix 96 was a local radio station." So yeah, I'll be on tomorrow, 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Listen out, this will be on now. I'll be talking about what's your name, and they tell me now. So write that down, Tony. Write that down. And he didn't have a clue what I was going to do it. Well, I didn't. He was on the lap. But yeah, at 10 o'clock. Yeah. Listen, make sure you're listening. Yeah, stupid. I probably knew I was a dickhead. But yeah, winding people up, stupid morale.
Well, speaking of dickheads, there's one guy that seems to be made out to be a proper dickhead in your book, and that's Harry the Bastard.
Oh no, Harry the Bastard was mega, mate. He was just
Oh.
no, he was as a young bloke. We were just terrified of him. He was a sergeant, but now he's obviously I was just a young lad in Freepara, a young crow. Me and my mates, and he was the provost sergeant. So to us, he was just terrifying because he'd just go, provo would just beast people. So, and if you did anything wrong, if they might have a quota, and everyone knew it. Like the RSM might have said to him, the provost staff, the day before, I haven't seen anyone. I haven't seen anyone on the shell, which is a wombat shell that the blokes used to have to carry around, run around and get beasted with, as a public display of punishment. And so they might they might just go, "Oh, right, we need to get 4 people on the shelf today." So they'll be looking for people doing something misdemeanors, basically, but enough to get them 40 minutes on the shelf. So if you saw the provost staff as a crow, I mean, they were back then. I think they're all full screws like corporals and a sergeant. But when you're a young crow, they're just somewhere up in the stratosphere. They could do whatever they want to you. So you'd just be walking through camp and you just see some other young blokes running fucking really quick past you, and they'd be like, "What's the matter?" And they'd be like, "Harry the Bastard's coming." And you'd be like, "Fuck!" Everyone just there'd be people running everywhere, diving in bins and jumping over fences and jumping through windows into the accommodation just to get away because it's like, fuck knows what. He might not even be out looking for anybody. He might just be like going to get a brew or something. But no, it's. I know as I went up, as I got more established in the battalion, and started to know more people. It was like he was actually he's a mega bloke. But as a young Tom, it was just like, oh no, you just didn't want to get involved with him because he could, if he wanted to, if he decided that he needed someone on the shell in 5 minutes' time, you just look around and he'd just find something wrong with you. I mean, sideburns too long, hair too short, something. You shaved today? And I was like, yes, Sergeant. No, you fucking haven't. Get on the shell. So they kind of wielded that power, They were just intimidating. But in the provost staff at the time, there's a few big old boys in there. And they were all because of the time. This is like 94. So most of these blokes are like Falklands veterans, and it's like, and we knew who they were. It's like, don't go near them. Don't look at them. Don't go near them. If you see them coming, just avoid them or turn around and fuck off back in the opposite direction. But no, it was Harry the Bastard. I say I don't even know. I don't know who called him that. We all called him that. I don't know how long, if he was called that before he was a provost sergeant or not. Probably not. But there was another mate of mine actually called Dean Kurgan. He was a provost sergeant after I'd left Freepara. He was a provost sergeant a few years after I'd left, and he used to beat people with a Bergen. I never saw it because I'd gone off to PF by then. But the blokes are telling me that he'd get blokes when instead of putting them on the shells. I think there was a period where the shell was like ruled as you couldn't do it. not illegal, but kind of illegal because it wasn't acknowledged as physical. It was acknowledged as a punishment beasting, which isn't allowed. So what he did was got a Bergen, put a jerry can in it, but a couple of jerry cans, but the jerry cans are only like half full, so they're just sloshing around all the time. And you weren't allowed to do this, and it's all just loose, and the straps are all loose. And I don't know if he's true. I haven't actually asked him. I mean, I've seen, every now and then we have a chat online and that, but apparently he was making blokes do a 10-miler, but around bollards. So they're 10 miles. It's just obviously there's hundreds and hundreds of laps around the bollards. This is really, it's like torture, really. But they called that Kurgan's Bergen. It was a Bergen. So this Bergen was just like really heavy, but full of water that was sloshing around. So blokes just make up names sort of as they do, just to suit the bloke at that point in time. But yeah, Dean was a mega bloke, but he was as a mate, he's sound. But I can imagine as a young bloke, as a new bloke in Free Para, when he was a provost sergeant, he would have been absolutely terrifying. He's just sort of baldy-headed, big old boy. He's a menacing sight. Yeah, he's been the same. It would have been exactly the same. He's a mate of mine. But if I was a young crow and I'd seen him, I'd have fucking run away from him and all.
I don't know what would be worse, the shell or the Bergen punishment.
Yeah, I never did it, mate. I never did it. And the shell was hard work. That was a beast. I only went on the shell a couple of times. To be honest, I put myself on the shell a couple of times while I was on guard duty, just for a bit of a crack, because I love a good beasting. So just like run around with it for a bit, just for fitness. But yeah, I don't know if they still do the shell. Actually, I guess they do. They must do.
So, saying nicknames there and now, what's probably the worst nickname you've ever heard?
Oh, the worst nickname I know that quite easily. There was a CO of one of the battalions, and the blokes called him Joe the Cunt. And I just thought that's just so like short and to the point. The blokes hated him. From what I gather, I knew him previously before he was a CO. I knew him when he was a captain or a major. But then he went to one of the battalions as a CO. And a good mate of mine was sort of saying about what a nightmare he was. I think we were probably both sergeants by then. And my mate was in the battalion. I was in the Pathfinders, and he was saying to me, he was saying how bad he was, and everyone hates him, and they can't wait for him to leave. And I was like, "Oh, is he that bad, is he?" And he said, "Yeah, you know what his nickname is, don't you?" I went, "No." I don't know how I missed it, but I was, I was in Pathfinders. I was out of the battalion. I was like, "No." He said, "You don't know what his nickname is?" "No, what is it?" And he just said, "It's Joe the Cunt." And I went, Jesus. So that's what that's everyone, not to his face, obviously, but that's what everyone, the other officers called him that as well. He was not popular. I don't know whether he's. I don't think he was. Could you say maybe he was really good, but just a bit strict? I think he was just not a good bloke. I had I had a few things about him, which is it was, he's quite justified to be called that, from what I gather. But that's the worst name, mate. And it's like, I just think because it's just so to the point. Just you've got to be someone special to get that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right about what's the best nickname that you've heard that best suited somebody?
I had a really good one. Yeah, I did a thing. I'm not sure which one of my books have you got? Have you got?
I've got Regimental.
Is that the one that's got the? I genuinely forget what I've written. Is that the one with the nicknamed list in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a mate of mine. I'm on a group, Parachute Regiment Past and Present group on Facebook. It's like an invitation only group. A lot of blokes on it. It's good. I put a message on there a while ago saying I'm writing a book. I'm writing a thing about nicknames. Can anyone got any good nicknames you want to remind me of or tell me about? And I've got loads of it. Some of them I just couldn't put in there. It was just like, oh no, I can't do that. It's just too much. Too much. And there's some cheeky ones in there, right? There's some cheap, but some of them are just like, nah, too risky. But there's a bloke we had a clerk in Pathfinders called Romeo. He was from St. Vincent. And his surname was Slater. And I didn't know this, right? He left us, he left us and went off to wherever, but he ended up in one of the battalions. And the blokes, being very clever, I realised that his name was initial was R, and his surname was Slater. So they called him Ed First. Ed First, R Slater. I was like, that's really good. That's really good. I would never have thought that. I would never would have got that. Even when my mate told me, I was like, how's that work? And he had to, like, I just explained it. I was like, that's really good. Yeah, it's the bloke, they've got so many nicknames. It's brilliant. I mean, we had, even in my platoon, we had loads of different blokes. We had the Fonz, Chinese Elvis, we had Shito Man. We had a bloke called Bosch. One of our blokes was called Cy Hosey, and we had another bloke who looked just like him. So the blokes called him brother of Cy Hosey, Bosch. Everyone just called him. Most people don't know their names at all. We had a bloke called Scotty, who was a tall, skinny bloke. And then we had another bloke get past our cadre and came in called Scotty as well. And he was an ex-bodybuilder. So he was actually really big, stocky bloke. But they're both called Scotty. So we're like, right, we're going to have to differentiate him. We'll call him Big Scotty, the new one, because he's a bodybuilder. And then the skinny Scotty was really tall, but really skinny. He said, I'm not being little Scotty. Fuck off. I'm Big Scotty. Because he's done more senior. He goes, no, I'm Big Scotty. He's Little Scotty. So we had this little big muscular bloke called Little Scotty and this skinny, lanky bloke called Big Scotty. Yeah, we had loads of blokes. We had Jonah. We had two Jones. We had two blokes called Jonah. So then one of them we called 9-2 because he was Jones. His last two of his army number were 9-2. So he just ended up being called 9-2. And then the other one just kept the name Jonah. We had Spider-Man, Shito Man. Obviously, we had Moth. We had Worm, Chod. This is all in one platoon. Just loads of, yeah, mental, mate. But I love all the nicknames. And I think they're brilliant. You got a nickname?
Jim, that's it.
Jim.
One match. That's about it. Darrell's Hoofy. Because his surname, Hoof. There's been other nicknames given off that rhymes with Hoofy, but I can't say it. But I'll let your imagination.
Yeah. Some things just need to remain unsaid.
Yes. We've only just started this, and they might be getting cancelled anytime soon, you see.
Fair enough.
So, off the top of your head, mate, what would you say is probably your most fondest memory whilst in the forces?
I don't know, mate. To be honest, nothing really jumps out at me. I'm a bit macabre like that, really. I don't. I'm not very good at remembering good things. They just kind of pass me by. Just going out and having a crack with a bloke. So that's some mega nice. Just funny stories, you know. Like me and a mate of mine tried to break into Dover Castle, which is his Scottish. He's a fucking lunatic. He's from Rossi. You know Rossi?
Yeah.
On the Isle of Bute. He's from there. And he's called Mac, another Mac. But yeah, he decided that me and him should try and break into Dover Castle. He was posted down in Dover, coming back in off the piss. And which is just, I've got all my stories, I've got stories like this, loads of little stories like this, but they're the funny ones. They make me laugh. But I was like, well, I don't think we can get in there, Mac. And he said, yeah, aye, come on. Then we went into the moat. The moat was empty. We went down into the moat, up the other side, and he was like, right, I'll climb in through this window, like a little slit window, but it's quite high up. And I was like, trying to lift him. He's a super strong bloke, very, very fit bloke. I had my hands like, standing on my hands. He was trying to climb up. He climbed up this old wall. Outside that castle is a massive plaque, and it says about how that castle, I can't remember how old it was at the time, say it's 1,000 years old, and it's kind of saying this castle has never been defeated. You know, then it's got a list of people who tried. These lot tried, no one's ever it's impenetrable. He's like, right. Anyway, he holds on to the bottom of this sort of slit window, you know, the old archery windows. And he was going, I can get in, I can get in. I was going, can you see the floor? He's like, no, what I'll do, I'll climb in, I'll hang down and drop down on the inside. I said, you can't see the floor, mate. And I was thinking, it's going to be a spiral staircase, and it's quite a drop, you know. No, I'll be all right. And I was going, fucking, I'll be careful. Anyway, slipped. And I was at the bottom like that, and I tried to stop him. He's quite away, probably 20 feet up. And slowing down, trying to hold on his nails down there. And he just basically landed on me. Boom. And then we both rolled down this moat. It's quite a big moat. We were just like in a crumpled heap at the bottom of the moat, just laughing, all pissed up. And then we abandoned that idea, went round to the door, and we thought we'd kick the front door in. The massive, probably 3 foot thick oak door designed to keep out battering rams and horses and hordes of Vikings. He was like, give it a boot. And I was just like, kicking it. And I was thinking, I used to do kickboxing. I've got some good kicks on me. I'm trying all these different spinning kicks and all sorts of shit. And just give up, Steve. You're not going to do it. I was like, no, we'll get in, Matt. We'll get in. And then quite a while later, I gave up. And then we were sat next to this plaque. And it was like, that's kind of when we realised how successful this place had been as a fortress. Because he was like sat on the wall, and the plaque was like right next to him. And I was talking to him, and it's like, and I was going, oh look, and it's like, the Romans couldn't get in here either. So it's just fucking ridiculous how we thought we were going to get in there. But there's no cameras or anything, so somehow we got away with it. But the next morning I was like, because I used to get really massive blackouts when I go on the lash. I used to drink hell of a lot of mainly just lager. But I'd always love it. We'd get up in the morning, especially when I was younger. I didn't get hangovers so much. I'd just get up, walk around, see who was missing. There's always someone missing. Someone would be like locked up down the police station. Few blokes would be around some women's houses in town. It's just the carnage in the morning. It was brilliant. And I woke up and I looked down at my clothes, which were in a pile on the floor, and there's just grass stains all over them. What the fuck was that? And I was like, and it started coming back to me. I was going, oh no. So I walked around it. Mac had a bunk. He was a lance corporal. So I knocked on his door. I was in a 4-man room. I knocked on his door. He goes into his room. He's just in absolute baggage, face down on his bed. And I said, I'd like to give him a kick. Did you remember what we were doing last night? Did you remember we were trying to break into Dover Castle last night? Oh shit, fucking hell. And then I looked down his clothes, there's just mud and grass stains all over his jeans. I was like, mate, and we just sat there laughing about it, going, what the fuck were we doing? Why were we trying to break into that castle? And he's like, you remember you were doing your kung fu kicks on it? And I was like, no, mate. Stuff like that happened all the time. It was so much fun. I met a bloke last night, actually. He came to watch because he wants to join my jiu-jitsu club. And he came to watch last night. It turns out he's got a lot of mutual friends. He's from the same platoon as me in Free Para, but I got into Pathfinder just before he went there. So we got a lot of mutual mates, which is, it's a small world. But there's a guy. I was in the block. I walked out. I went to the toilet. Walked out the toilet, and I see this bloke walk out of someone else's room. I knew it weren't his room. It was a bloke called Adam Turner. Walked out of another room, and he just looked at me and said, "Have you fucking been in there?" I went, "No, mate." And I just started feeling rough, I just, nah. He said, "You need to go in there, mate. Go and look in there." I said, "No, I look later." He said, "Steve, you need to see this, mate. Go and look at all that fucking lunatic's done in there." I was like, all right. So I walked into this room. There's an 8-man room. There's only four blokes in it, I think. There was like, I dare to guess how much rope, hundreds and hundreds of foot of climbing rope into climbing all over this room. It was a long room. But the whole room pretty much was just rope everywhere. And he tied it off on windows, lockers, beds, anything where he could tie it off. And it was just loads of, you can't really imagine it. The amount of rope that was there. It must have taken hours and hours. I was like, what the fuck? And I said, who the fuck done this? To Adam, and he's just like, Mike's done it. He's coming off the piss and done that. I was like, I walked, and it was literally like it was like one of them films where the lasers, where they're breaking into a bank and there's lasers all over and they're trying to climb through the room. I was like, trying to go through all this rope. His bed was right at the other end of the room. And I went in there and I was just like, Mike. I was like, what the fuck's all that? And he goes, fucking pads. Pads are people who, pads are what we call married blokes. They live on a pads estate. They're pads, so they don't live in the block. And when you live in the block, you don't want them in the block because it's not where they live. It's where you live. So the blokes hate them being in the block. Fucking pads. And what had happened is he got fed up because the bottom end of his room was where the pads lockers were. So the married blokes would have a locker in his room. So they come in the morning, making noise, waking him up, and he's fucking pads coming here all the fucking time. Fucking hate them, fucking bastards. He had a funny old voice on him. He was proper really angry, still pissed up. And he was telling me that, basically told me that he'd come in drunk and decided to make a web. So the web, if the pads came in the morning, they'd get caught in the web, like stuck. And he's obviously seeing himself as like some sort of tarantula or something. I was like, how long did that take you, mate? I was like, it's just unbelievable. You have to see it to believe it. And he's, I don't know, he's like, 6 hours, something like that. Fuck, just that's it. And another time, one of the blokes woke him up because he'd gone out. In fact, there's a couple of times. Another time, one of the blokes was walking past the block. He was on guard duty, and he saw Mike hanging in a harness, basically folded over backwards because he put a climbing harness on and abseiled, wherever he's done it. I guess he must have abseiled or just climbed down off the. But there was a little balcony. It wasn't big enough to stand on or anything. It was just like a pretend balcony. But he tied himself up on that, and he was just hanging from the block. We were on the middle floor, so he was like 6, 7 feet off the ground, I suppose, just hanging, but asleep. And mate's trying to wake him up, but he couldn't reach him. So to go upstairs and like throw things at him and then bring him up. But he was just like, I wanted to go climbing. And he was like, yeah, I like climbing. And another time, another bloke caught him walking out of camp. We used to live in Dover, by the White Cliffs of Dover, not far from the cliffs. They caught him going out with a pair of ice axes and a helmet and crampons. But he's pissed out of his head. He's like, where are you going? He said, I'm going to go and climb the White Cliffs of Dover. No, you're not. Go back to bed. You're going to go ice axe climbing up chalk. It wouldn't have ended well. Yeah, he was another character. So it's just blokes like that, mate. That's what made it for me. I used to have such a laugh with just absolute madness going on all the time. Another mate of mine was out running, and he said to me, this bloke called Troy. He'd been out running, and he said to me, this bloke's in prison now, actually. He's quite famous. He turned out to be quite a famous stuntman. He went AWOL from Free Para and then became a stuntman under a different name. But anyway, this bloke Troy was out running along the Dover Cliffs. And he said to me, you know Gaz Bullock, don't you? I was like, yeah, I was in depot with him. Like, he's fucking mental. I was like, yeah, he's a bit of a character. I said, what do you mean? What's happened? He said, I was out running on the cliffs this morning. So then he came running alongside me. And we were chatting away. And he said, I see he had something on his back, but I thought it was a day sack. I thought he was just running with like a little rucksack on. He said, but we got to the cliffs, edge of the cliff. And he said, I turned left along the cliff path. He just kept fucking running. So he just fucking ran straight off the cliff. Didn't even peek over first or anything. And he's just fucking, he said he had a parachute on. He was into base on it. And he's just like, what? And he looked and he's just like, he's done it, he'd wrecked it before. It's just so happened that their runs merged at that point where Gaz was. He's already planned he was going to go and run straight off the edge of this cliff and do a base jump. He was like, I couldn't believe it. He thought he committed suicide at first, He thought he just jumped off. Like, fucking hell, what? And he just sees a little parachute and the bloke is, but shit like that would happen all the time. It's just stuff like that was happening all the time. I mean, there's so many blokes. I just hear loads and loads of different stories from different people normally about the same blokes. It's such a great time, mate. It's brilliant. But yeah, a lot of good memories from my time in Free Para. Really, really, really great time there. Loads of good blokes, loads and loads of really good soldiers, loads of characters, and some really good trips away and stuff as well. So yeah, lots of good memories.
What about pranks? Was there any pranks getting done? Well, there's bound to have been pranks happening.
Oh, mate, yeah, all the time. If someone went away for the weekend, the blokes like turning someone's locker upside down was a good one. So you just get a couple of you just like turn the whole locker upside down, and then a bloke comes in and it's just like, it takes you a second, and that's really, really annoying because blokes like go home for the weekend, come back on a Sunday night. Obviously, now the locker's upside down. You can't. It's really hard to get it back up the right way up by yourself because they're 6 foot lockers, and of course, all their stuff in there is fucking all crumpled up, and that's the stuff they probably got ready on the Friday night, on the Friday before they went home. So they ironed it and stuff. That's always a good one. Taping things. But the bloke went away. Going away for the weekend was what got you stitched up, really. Because the blokes are just like, they tape everything in your, if they could get into your bunk or your room. So if you shared a room, you had no chance. You couldn't secure your kit because the blokes would just go in, because the door was open enough, someone else lived there as well. But just get like black tape and just wrap everything up until they just ran out of tape. But your locker would be completely wrapped. The padlock on your locker would be about that big. You just get everything, wrap it, and then they get your bed. But tape it to the wall, get your chair, tape it to the locker or the ceiling. Everything would just be taped. And just,
It reminds me of a story that I got told off a guy I used to work with. He was ex-Remy, I think he said he was. And one of the guys, again, he went away home, and for a piss take, they all went away to the stores and came out with the electrical tape. So boxes upon boxes with all different colours and everything like that, and they've done the exact same everything in the room, everything through the bed, his guy's toothbrush, everything was double the size with tape. And to make it even worse, well, he says to help the guy, because we felt sorry for him, we went away and we got him a pair of little child's safety scissors and left them at his door.
Nice. Yeah, we had blokes out. We were out in Norway. We went out to Norway quite a lot when I was in Free Fire, and we had blokes taking other blokes' DOS bags, sleeping bags out, and just putting like army blankets in there instead, or just putting other crap in there. And you really need your DOS bag in Norway because it's really, really cold. That's always fun. Or you get the DOS bag out and then get like two blokes on each end, tie a knot in it, and just. And obviously the knot starts off like that, and you pull on it hard enough, and it's like. When you're trying to do that in the dark, and everyone's in their DOS bags, you can hear everyone laughing because everyone knows when you just hear them snapping and you hear cracks and this. Someone going to help me or not? And everyone's laughing. Yeah, we had an iron in one. I can't remember what casino I was in at the time. We used to. There was an old iron that someone had left behind. And if you found that in your Bergen, everyone would know where it started. So before you went on exercise, you get this iron and put it in someone's Bergen. Because your kit weighs enough as it is. But you couldn't just chuck it away because blokes knew you had that iron. You weren't allowed to chuck it away. That was against the rules. You had to carry it until you could get it in someone else's Bergen. You're just carrying this fucking useless piece of kit around with you. It weighs a lot on top of your kit already. That was funny. But once the iron had gone, it was really hard. If you didn't know, if you got it out, if you found it and put it in someone else, everyone was going, you might say, cheers to that iron, guys. Yeah, found that iron. And everyone's going, oh, fuck, because they know it's in someone else's Bergen now. You can't just take it out. You find it in your bag. You can't just take it out. No, I'm not carrying that. No. Those are the rules, man. You've got to carry it until you can offload it on someone else without them knowing. That was a good laugh. But it was a bastard. Fucking annoying. Yeah, folks always stitching each other up all the time. But shaving each other's eyebrows off and that when they're pissed up. And, idiots.
Yeah. And obviously a big part of life in the service is piss taking, just taking absolute piss with each other. One of them that I thought was actually quite hilarious was the member of the guards that was with the Pathfinders during your time in Macedonia, ripping the piss out of your car.
Yeah, Bob. Yeah, he's a really, really funny bloke. Household cavalry. Can you hear that noise in the background? I can hear it.
Like, is it like a hissing noise?
Yeah.
That was your headset.
Yeah, it'll be alright. Unless it's annoying you.
It's gone down now. Yeah, see, it's gone. Yeah. Yeah, Bob was really, really funny. Really dry sense of humour. Yeah, and we're in Macedonia in an observation post. First night. And all these villages were fucking kicking off with each other, fighting with quite a lot of machine gun fire going down. And see this car driving through this valley. We're up on a high ground. And we're thinking, fucking hell, mate, you're taking your chances driving around with your lights on. We're just like watching him like, We had binos, we had thermal optics and that. And then sure as shit, some rounds went towards his vehicle. You could see him, you could see the tracer and hear it, and also see it. And then the vehicle stopped. And they were like, Bob's like, fucking hell, get out there, mate. And we were both just laughing. It's a bit shitty, really. We were both just laughing because it was a fair distance away, but you see the lights, and he's like turning around, he's just driving off, and then more machine guns are firing at him. You just see all this tracer going at his car, and the car's getting faster and faster. Then obviously someone's in the car and says, turn the fucking lights off. So he turns the lights off. And then don't know what happened to it because you couldn't see the car anymore. But yeah, Bob was saying about that being my car. And he was taking a piss out of it, saying that was a shitty old what's them cars? Them shitty things the taxi drivers drive. Vauxhall something. I don't know. Cavalier, is it? Cavalier. That's it, yeah. I don't know. He knew I had a Cavalier, and I knew that he knew. I was like, I've got a Cavalier. He was like, oh, fuck, oh, sorry, mate. I didn't mean anything. Not like yours. You obviously got the top of the range one, right? And yeah, he was always taking a piss. He had a bit of money. So he'd always take the piss out of my car. And yeah, every time we saw a burnt out vehicle or smashed up wagon, he'd be like, "Oh right, they got your car, Brownie." But, these are really, really funny. We had a few blokes actually from the household cavalry. They're all really, really good blokes. Really, all of them. We had 3. Yeah, there's 3 there at the same time. They're all really, really funny. Actually, really, really good lads. Meet all sorts of blokes. You know, Pathfinder, because it was a parachute regiment. So when I went to the Pathfinder, I didn't really know anyone outside of Para Edge. And I didn't really mix outside of that either. I was very blinkered. But yeah, I went there and I was just made loads of good mates from all over the place. Loads.
So,
Are you army yourself, James?
no, I'm not. I'm just someone that's got an interest in it. I had a medical issue when I was younger, and I know that you've probably heard all this before. Oh, I was going to do the army, but no, I can't do it because of this and that. But when I say this, I'm being genuinely serious when I say this.
Yeah.
I had an issue with my kidney years ago. It was going on, and I've got the all clear now. I'm now contemplating about doing the Scots and Northern Irish Yeomanry because I've got a friend that was with him for 4 years, but now he's just transitioned to the Army Air Corps full time.
Right.
He's now setting his qualification for becoming a Rupert. So I'm at that stage where I'm thinking to myself, right, wanting to do this, but at the same time, I'm wanting to do this because I work full time. I work for a stonemasonry company. I do the page part time. And I'm also a part-time student as well, trying to study military history.
All right.
But at the same time, I'm wanting to do the yeomanry, so it's just trying to plan out what would work out, how would I be able to time it all. But I do intend on doing the yeomanry because I'm based in Edinburgh, and East Squadron is literally just 20 minutes up the road from me.
All right.
So Redford Barracks. So
How old are you?
that would be perfect. 26.
All right. What's the maximum age you can do that?
Was that mate? Sorry.
What's your maximum age you can do that? Yeomanry.
I think it's quite late, actually. I think I know there's guys that are in it that are in their mid-30s, I know that. And there's guys that have joined up that are in their mid-30s as well, so still got time.
All right. You're doing it, man. That hissing's back. It's quite hard. It's quite hard to hear you because that hissing noise is back again.
Your mic, Dan, I'll keep telling you about that bloody thing, man.
Gone again.
Bloody
That's it, it's gone.
cables. It's something I've been contemplating about doing. When I was younger, I really wanted to do it. But I really wanted to join the Black Watch when I was a kid because that's my family regiment.
Right.
So I've had family members in the Black Watch through its whole history, pretty much going all the way back to even like the Crimean War.
Okay. They're gone now, aren't they? What
yeah,
Scots are they?
Third Scot and Free Scot. But I actually didn't know that they were gone until like 2012 because I was in high school at this point. In 2012, I was like in second year, and this is when I started getting a real interest for it all. The thing on my kidney started whilst I was in high school, which was, what would I say, maybe 10 years ago now, and it lasted for about 5 years. But after learning about how the old regiments have been amalgamated into one regiment, it did kind of put me off because I was so engrossed with this one regiment. I wanted to somewhat continue the family history in a way. And it's one thing I don't agree with all the amalgamations and whatnot, because it's robbing the guys' identities. The recent one with Army Medical Corps, the Dental Corps, and so on, I understand why they've done it. But but at the same time, the guys that are there, they'll see it as their identity now being replaced with a new one. It's the same with the guys that were in the 1st Battalion Royal Regiment of Scotland. They're now with the Rangers. A lot of the guys weren't happy about that.
Yeah.
It's a strange one. I think they're replacing far too much now in the army.
Oh yeah, it's all money. It's all money.
Aye, exactly. I mean, as well, look at the equipment as well. I mean, the new Challenger 2s, Challenger 3s that are getting created. Last time I heard, there was only 148 being created. Now, we've seen the tensions in Eastern Europe and everything like that at the moment. I don't know how you think it yourself. I don't know if a conflict will come or not. Personally, I can't 100% say. Sometimes it looks like, it's going to be inevitable. Other times it looks like, it's not going to happen, because if this happens, that means that will happen, and that'll put them in a difficult space and what they already are, and so on. But let's say, for example, if we've already got to go into a conflict with Russia, for example, 148 challengers against, let's say, maybe 5,000 T-series tanks. Charlie's good, don't get me wrong, but how can you? It's just not good enough.
Yeah. Well, Trump's in power now, mate. You never know. It might all stop.
Well, hopefully a bit of sense can come into it all, but we can only hope.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think I don't. Yeah, I hope it doesn't escalate, but it doesn't. Seems to me like it doesn't need to. But if they want it to, they'll make it happen. And be the same old places doing all the graft and getting their legs blown off.
Yeah, it's always the same. I mean, that's like what Harry Patch used to say, the last Tommy, the First World War, used to say, why is it the politicians seem to get away with us, have a humble life, whilst all the regular folk go away and fight for what they've decided, for what they've said, oh no, I want to do this. I don't want to do that, I want this.
Yeah. I mean, but the young guys serving now, they'll be wanting something. You know, a lot of them will be thinking, that'd be mega, because they join up to go on tour and that. But it's kind of one of them careful what you wish for scenarios.
Well, you would have experienced something similar to that with Tony Blair in Iraq, because of mass destruction.
Oh mate, yeah, absolute nonsense.
Still haven't found any weapons of mass destruction.
It's funny, isn't it? Because there ain't any. Yeah, crazy, mate. It's just a load of bollocks. But yeah, the thing is, when you're a soldier, you're not interested, in all that, in the politics. You're just having a crack, really. But as you get older, you kind of look into it a little bit more, question things, I suppose. But as a young bloke, you're not worried if it's the right thing to do or not so much to go on these tours. You just think, I want, when the tour's coming around, you think, we go. Everyone wants to go. And then when they do go, they want to come. Everyone who's out on tour wants to be back home. It's always the same.
The thing is as well, is, and I hear this all the time from everybody that's been in the forces, is that whenever you're over there, whenever you're on deployment, it's never about the politics or anything like that, or people's views. Everybody's got a different view to everything, but it's about the guy that's next to you. You're fighting for the guy next to you, and he's doing the same for you, and you can rely on the guy next to you, and he's the same for you. And it's that's still attracting me to it, just to have that experience, because as I mentioned to you before we done the recording, I personally don't think enough's being done to help ex-forces or anything like that. I hear quite a lot of times when guys leave, that's it. It's just, all right, thanks very much, and I'll fuck off. So that's why we're trying to create Veterans Voice. We're trying to give veterans a voice to express their opinions, what needs to change, what needs to be fixed here to help veterans. But it's the camaraderie that draws me to it, and me from a personal stance, I can't have that connection with you or anybody else that I'm talking to. But I want to have that connection. So again, that's what's now driving me to do the yeomanry. But also, if I do the yeomanry, that will allow me time to continue doing the page and history aspects and whatnot, which is something that I've got a great passion on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot to be done for the blokes. I mean, resettlement and all that's there, you know, all the bloke and the girls. But it's there's stuff in place. It's just not. I don't think people aren't very forthcoming with information or resources. You know, there's a lot of blokes out there struggling. A lot of homeless veterans, isn't there, and stuff like that. And that's not good. Especially when you see like illegal immigrants getting put up in hotels, and then we've got people who've fought for the country, etc. Homeless. It's kind of there's a need to be a priority shift or readjustment. But
one story that I always like to remind people is there was a guy that used to sit, I don't know how familiar you are with Edinburgh, but do you know Waverley Station, the train station? It's right in the smack bang centre of Edinburgh. There used to be a guy that sat at the entrance to Waverley called Darren Greenfield. He was ex-tank regiment. He sat there for maybe, let's say, 2 or 3 years. Each time I seen Darren, I used to offer him his breakfast and whatnot. Genuine guy. You couldn't have spoken to much a nicer guy, just on hard times.
Yeah.
And nothing was ever really done about it to help him. He sadly died living on the streets a couple of years back. Oh, it's more than that now, actually, I think about it. And it all started coming out saying, well, he's been offered this support, been offered that support, blah, blah, blah. Now, I don't know if that's true or if that's people trying to cover their backs or whatnot. I don't really know about that. But something could have been done to help him. In a way, granted that he might have been stubborn.
Yeah.
If he has been offered it, because some guys feel like they're being a nuisance. Because his sister actually came forward, who stays now in England, and says that she offered to help him and everything like that. And he was going, no, I'm fine, honestly, I'm fine. And that was because he didn't want to be a nuisance.
Yeah.
But let the guys feel like that, which is a shame. They shouldn't have to feel like that.
Yeah. No, sad to see. There's but yeah, some people don't want to be helped, like you say. Some people don't want to be helped. It's case by, I suppose it's a case by case thing, isn't it? But it's difficult when you do go into Civvy Street. Even simple things like the doctors, it's like you just don't. In the military, you go on sick parade in the morning. You'll be seen during that sick parade. Whether it's 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, you'll be seen within half an hour to an hour by either a nurse, or just a triage nurse, or you'll probably see the doctor. And Civvy Street, I've seen a doctor once, but that was I had a couple of heart problems. I had to go. I got ambulanced once, and then another time I drove myself to A&E. And I had to take beta blockers to keep my heart down. I've never actually seen a doctor about it. I've never seen. I don't even know who my GP is. It's crazy. And I've been out since 2020. I've been hospitalised twice, and not actually had a face to face with a doctor about it. It's crazy.
Now, to give you a rough idea how bad things are up here in Scotland, for about this time last year, I had an issue in my left eye. I've still got the issue now and again. It was just an infection, not a sty. Just wasn't going away. Popped it a couple of times, but just kept on coming back. So I thought, right, I better get this seen to. So there's an eye pavilion in Edinburgh, but before you used to be able to just walk in and you get seen to straight away. I know what was going to happen. I was going to get lanced. But now you have to go to your local GP and they've got to refer you to it. But it took 4 attempts to my GP. I had to go to my GP 4 separate times. And that's when I finally got referred. But what was amazing about it was that, well, it's amazing yet extremely ridiculous at the same time. The first time I went there, I'm convinced this guy must have been a student doctor or anything like that, because the guy didn't really sound too confident when he was talking to me. I was told I was meant to see my GP. I've not actually seen my actual GP, and don't know how long, like yourself. I was given this guy, and he had a look at my eye and everything. Then he went and says to me, "I think what you need to do is just make sure you clean it." Now it says, but I do that. I need to do that with the line of work that I'm working with stone fragments all the time, hit me in the face. I've got to make sure my face is clean. So I do that on a regular basis. But do you give it a really good clean? Well, of course I do. Well, I think just keep on doing that and it should go away. I says to him, I've had it for 3 months. I look like I'll be in a bar fight. He says, well, what I'll do is, here, you can have this. So he's went in his cabinet and he's came out with cotton wool, put it in a bag, and he says, here you go, you can have that, take that, and give it a week, and come back. And I looked at it and I looked at him and I went, are you serious? Why is it something else you need me to look at? I was shooting my head and I went, thanks for fucking all, mate, and I walked out. Then went back, same box again, but this time I got given eye drops, and I looked at the eye drops on the
Expiration
bit
date.
of paper. No, what's it called again? You get given a bit of paper and you take it to the chemist, and the chemist give you it.
Prescription.
That's it. I looked at it. It was eye drops for washing out your eye. So it was basically eye wash. That was it. It was literally water.
Yeah.
So
Sterile.
as you can imagine, it didn't work. And eventually, I got given this sort of cream that kind of reduced the swelling a little bit. Still didn't work. I got put on the wait list. I'm still on that wait list.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
That's what you pay your national insurance for.
Aye. But
That's
if you come over on the boat, you'll be seen straight away.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I say. Homeless. I don't get homeless people. If I was homeless, I'd just buy a little rubber dinghy and just fucking just paddle a couple of feet out into the English Channel and just wait to get picked up. Just pretend I can't speak English.
It's unbelievable, honestly. It's laughable, embarrassing. Anyway, so we were talking about you being in Iraq. You're in Afghanistan as well, I believe. Am I correct in saying that? So, what was your experience in both these campaigns?
I was with Pathfinder. So first time I went to Afghanistan was to Kabul in 2002. Yeah, it was two para battle group. Went out with them. Yeah, it was that was all right. I can't remember it was probably about 4 months long. We were doing like a lot of liaison stuff, so we were kind of out in the sticks a little, meeting up, basically finding out who was running, who was in charge, who was in control, and how many soldiers or what's kind of militia group size they had. But everybody lies. There's a problem. Everybody lies all the time. So yeah, we were trying to. There's a lot of generals and old kind of tribal sort of groups. So some were military. They'd taken the blokes. Some were just like religious groups, tribal groups, and there's just loads of different people. And we're just trying to work out who was who, like work out what the hierarchy was. So yeah, we just like doing 2 vehicles, so like 6 blokes, or 4 vehicles, 12 blokes going out, meeting up with people, having meetings, and just trying to gather gather information. That was our main sort of job out there, really. It was quite good. We kind of got left on our own, really. We got left our own devices. We were mega isolated, so we didn't have any real support or anything. So it's quite, you have to be on your toes because, you know, at the end of the day, if people were gonna set a trap for us or try and ambush us, yeah, we'd have been in a really sticky spot. But
Did you ever work with the Afghan police?
a little bit, yeah. Hideous people, absolutely hideous. You know, I mean, obviously there's good and bad everywhere, but yes, my kind of lasting memory of the Afghan police. It's not to say they're all like this, because obviously there's some good people there. But yeah, they basically I'm pretty sure it was the first contact of Op Herrick was with me and my team, or my Pathfinders, versus a load of Afghan police, and they started shooting at us one night. It's called early morning when it's still dark. We've been driving through, you know, we did all our work through all our movement during the night. Yeah, they started shooting at us, and we had a vehicle overturned in contact, and we were going to call it. We were calling fast air support, so we were going to drop a bomb on this position. We were taking a lot of fire from. It was taking quite a long time to transpire for the jets to come on board on scene. And it turned out that there was people thinking that maybe it was Afghan police we'd been fighting, or we were fighting. And don't know it was. But they made out they didn't know who we were. Yeah, maybe they didn't, maybe they did, and I don't think they would have cared anyway. Anyway, that all calmed down. Basically called a ceasefire, and then we went out to recover our vehicle. I went up, took a couple of wagons, went up to the position that they'd attacked us from, and I was basically doing some sketches, getting some information, talking to my interpreter, to this police, not the chief of police, but the head guy there. I don't know what rank, probably a sergeant in the police or something. And there's quite a lot of police up there with medium machine guns and rifles. And yeah, I was asking him about who was in this place. It was a bunker, basically, a fort. And he was telling me about how many police were up there. I can't remember. It was like 20 police. And I said, "Does anyone else work up here?" And the interpreter was asking him. He said to me, "There's two boys work up here." I said, "Oh, okay. How old are these boys?" And he said, "They're 14." I said, "Ask him what they do." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, ask him what they do." I said, "What, are they cleaners or something? Do they cook up here? What do they do?" And then he said something to this policeman. Then he looked at me and I said, "What did he say?" And he said, They do not cook. They do not cook. They do not clean." He goes, "They are for fucking." And I said, "You what? What did you just say?" Ask him, "What did he just say?" And he said, and he looked, and then he goes, "They're for fucking, of course." Like I was the idiot, you know, for not getting what he was saying. And I was just, I wanted to. I mean, you know, we had a lot of weapons up there, and we'd just been shooting each other. So, and I didn't. You know, I just wanted to fucking smash his head in. But obviously, you can't, right? So just like, keep calm, keep calm. I was like, right, okay. I said, so these police are fucking these two 14-year-old boys, yeah? And he said, yeah. I said, I'll ask him how many of the police are fucking these two boys. And he didn't even ask, he just looked at me and went, all of them, of course. I said, ask him, make sure. And he just said to me, he went, yeah, all of them. So there's like 20 police up here, and there's two boys, and all the police are fucking these two boys. But, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And then two of his coppers were looking at one of my mates called Leon, who was on the top cover of my vehicle on a GPMG machine gun. And I could see they were holding hands, these two police. They do that a lot out there. Men walking around holding hands, or they just like interlink their little fingers and stuff. It's quite odd to watch. But they were acting quite effeminate, I'd say, giggling and stuff, and sort of turning their heads. And I saw one of them going like this. And they were looking at Leon. I said to my interpreter, "What the fuck are them two talking about?" He said, "Oh," and he said something to them, and he said, and they were giggling, and he said, "They like Leon." I said, "Oh, fucking really?" He says, "Yeah, they say he looks like a little boy." He's a young, fresh-faced lad, really good soldier. Parachute regiment, but one para. I said, you fucking tell them he's not a little boy. I said, you fucking tell them they better fuck off, or he's going to fucking start shooting with that machine gun. I said, tell them to fuck off. And I was just like, I just had enough of this shit. It was just absolutely weird. And they were just asking us for was like ammunition. I said, I'm not giving you fucking ammunition, so you can fucking attack us again. And someone above my head decided to get him an ammunition resupply. And a Chinook had landed, and a wagon to one of our vehicles turned up, started offloading boxes. I said, what the fuck's that? No, it's just 7.62 ammunition. I was like, fucking joking, aren't you? They're just going to shoot the next bunch of people. Next bunch of Brits that come up here, they'll use that on them. Yeah, it was just horrendous, mate. That's kind of my, and I'm not the only one. There's quite a few blokes with them, a lot of blokes with very, very similar stories to that about what they were doing to the young boys and then Afghan police stations and that. I said to my interpreter, like when we were away from that place, I said, surely that's not right, mate. And he was going, what do you expect them to do? I said, that's not allowed in your religion. And he said, it's got nothing to do with religion. He said, they are away from their wives. What do you want them to do? That's what he said to me. What do you expect them to do? They cannot go home sometimes for a week. I said, I'll tell you what, man. I expect them not to fucking rape boys. That's what I fucking expect, because they're the police. So that's kind of massively tarnished my view of the Afghan police, that one incident. But, several other incidents that happened and I've seen or heard about, but that's the main one. Yeah, I've got no time for them. No time for them at all, mate. But, I've got some mates who work with a lot of Afghan army blokes, especially like the SF guys. And they've, and they really rate a lot of them, really rate them. So they're really good soldiers, really good blokes. But I didn't experience that. I had no real positive takeaways from my interaction with them at all. Just horrendous people. Yeah, nasty.
There was also a lot of corruption involved with the Afghan authorities. Am I right in saying?
Oh, mate, it's unbelievable. Every time you speak to someone from the Afghan police, they're telling you. I mean, it might be true, but it's always the same story. We haven't been paid for 6 months, or we haven't been paid for a year. I don't believe they'd work under them conditions of under the threat they're under. For free. Anyway, maybe they would. I'm quite cynical, but they're just every time you interact with someone, they're just trying to get you to give them money. They think you just got endless supplies of money, and you're just going to start. So what? You haven't been paid for 6 months. Oh, how much do you need? And they're only going to lie anyway. Like, how much do you get paid? They'll be like, $6,000 a month. Oh, there you go, mate. It's just, everyone you speak to gives you a different story. We were going to places where no one had been for. We were going to places that hadn't seen a white face since the Russians were there on our patrols. This is out in Afghanistan, later on, it's like 2006. And people thought we were Russians. They were asking for our interpreter, are they Russian? And you had to explain to them, no, they're not Russian. The Russians left. That's again a long time ago. These are British. And we'd say, like, ask him if there's any Taliban around here. And they'd say, blah, 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 Taliban. And he'd say, he says no. Okay, cheers, mate. Tell him thanks. We'll drive on. 5 minutes later, see someone else. Same sort of questions. Ask him if there's any Taliban in that village. Same village. He'd chat away and he'd look back to you. Yes, he says there are 20,000. 20,000. Right, yeah. Ask him again, mate, because you couldn't fit 20,000 people in there. Look at it. It's fucking not big enough. Ask him again. 20,000. Just write it down, get his name and that. Next bloke. Ask him the same, how many? And he'll be like 50. Oh, fucking hell. It's just unbelievable. One bloke dead, but they're all as sort of confident, and they look at all as sincere as each other. The one's like, no, Taliban, no Taliban for 2 years. Oh, right. Next one's like adamant that there's 20,000 in there. You're looking, it's like 10 compounds, And then the next one says it's just as assured that there's 50. Well, either you're all lying, or one of you's telling the truth. It's like it's just absolute nightmare trying to get any kind of solid information. Most people are just going to tell. A lot of them that's because they're scared. They're just going to tell you what they think you want to hear, or what's most beneficial to them. That's what they're going to tell you. But getting an honest answer was just nigh on impossible. Absolute nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
See, whilst you were in Afghanistan, did you ever come into contact with any other members of the coalition? So let's say like the Yanks, the Danes, Germans, Poles.
Yeah, you see people all the time, mate. Yeah, all the time. See people out, not even if it's just to like, you might even just be out on patrol and find out someone needs some water or something. Oh, we got water. We'll pass it on. We'll drive over to them and give them some water. Or you see people when you're back in base, mainly where you see people. Every now and then, you see people out on the ground as well. But normally when you're back in camp, you mix up with other people. We'll go out, do jobs with other people. Even if you're escorting them or they're escorting you, or casualty evacuation type stuff. So you see a lot of other people. When we went to Afghan in 2006, my first interaction with some Americans, well, we just got there and we were like sorting out our vehicles and ammunition and that. An American bloke came up to me. They'd been there 18 months. I think they were their mountain division. They'd been out there for ages. And this bloke came up to me and he's just like, "Hey man, do you want some of this? We've got some spare." And he had spare armor piercing incendiary rounds. I was like, "Fucking hell, I didn't even know they existed." I said, "Yeah, mate, I'll have them." And it's for the GPMG, medium machine gun. I was like, "Yeah, fucking right, mate, I'll have that. Cheers." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, no worries." And they were leaving. I think they just found a lot of spare ammunition that they hadn't handed in. And now they're like, "Oh, fuck, what are we going to do with this?" It's just a nightmare. You handed in ammunition. I was like, "Yeah, I'll have it." I said, "Mate, you got any more of that?" And he was like, "How much?" He said, "Yeah, there's a few guys." He said, "Want me to send them over?" He said, "How much can you take?" I said, "We'll take all of it." They're really good ammunition. I was like, "We'll have all of it, mate. Whatever you've got, we'll have it." He's like, "All right." And then blokes are just not coming over with fucking all sorts of shit. So giving us we're like, "Mega, take some of this." So it's all NATO ammunition, but they just had like the good stuff. But it was more expensive. So when we had our first contact, that stuff was brilliant. It's just ripping, like that 4 or 5 position was smashed to bits. Really, really good ammunition. And tore it up massively. But the Americans were mega, mate. Any time I've worked with the Americans, they've always been awesome. They've always got loads of kit, always mega friendly, always mega helpful. And they're always up for it, So I like working with the Americans. I worked with some Dutch before. They're really good blokes. Dutch Army. Yeah, Dutch Army, SF as well. They're really, really good blokes. Yeah, I've worked with loads of different people. But yeah, normally like with Pathfinders on tour, you're pretty much you're on your own, doing your own thing, cutting around small teams. So you're operating in like a 6-man team or a 12-man team, and just you don't really mix on jobs with many other people. You just go and do your bit, and then come back, debrief, and then go and do the next one.
And as you've just mentioned it now as well, you used to work with the Special Forces now and again also.
Yeah, we do some work with because there's a bit of crossover, like. Well, there's lots of units who've got a lot of crossover, but because we're kind of an advanced in the Pathfinder, we're an advanced force. We're used to working in small teams, but all the blokes are trained up to a high standard. So it's quite, interoperability with the SF for our guys was, generally easier than a lot of other units. You can just kind of slot in. And yeah, we did a couple of tours where we like either bolstered onto or took over from, different SF units. Because, we're like the closest match, if you like, the best match to take over a job that they're either leaving or the job they need extra blokes for. But yeah, we get work alongside some really, really good blokes, even on exercise. Sometimes just sharing exercise or courses, like the free fall course, stuff like that. So work with loads and loads of good blokes.
In your book as well, mate, you mentioned quite a lot about all the qualifications that you've got, all these different, I'm just going to say, tests that you've went through to become qualified, and things like combat survival, whatnot, jungle survival. I think you Arctic survival is one of them also. Um, how many of these areas are you actually qualified in? Because I know there is quite a few.
Well, I was qualified in quite a lot. It's that depends. The survival stuff. I was a survival instructor at the survival school, so I taught. I obviously did loads of courses with them, loads of courses with other survival schools, and then taught them back, to British service, to the British service men and women. So yeah, survival wise, I've pretty much done all. I've done jungle courses, Arctic courses, desert courses, and I've been on operations in all them theatres as well, which is really, really useful, But to be honest, survival courses, you learn more. I'd say you learn a lot more about those environments, operating in them, than you do by doing a course about them. Because course is normally a couple of weeks long. If you're like I did I did 2 jungle long range reconnaissance patrol courses, one in Brunei, one in Belize, and I learned a lot on them, and I learned a lot more about jungle survival doing them than I ever did doing jungle survival, because it's not that much specific to the jungle, but the survival specific to the jungle. Really, you've got priorities of survival. You just apply them and sort of tailor them to your environment. As long as you understand the basic priorities of survival, you should really, if you've got operational experience or some experience in different environments, it should be quite easy to tailor your jungle survival skills, your temperate or basic survival skills to another environment. It's just certain things just are harder, like firelighting, for example, is really hard in the jungle, even though you're surrounded by wood. Yeah, so you'd think it'd be the easiest place to light a fire, but it's, in my experience, it's the hardest place to light a fire, depending on which jungle. But the humidity, is just horrendous. Everything gets wet, and you're sweating all the time. So everything you touch gets wet. Whereas in a desert or in the Arctic, things are generally dry. Things are hard. It might be harder to find something to set alight, but when you do find it, it's quite easy to set it alight, or easier, depending again. I've been in the high Arctic where it's like minus 55, and that's a whole different kettle of fish compared to minus 8. I taught fire by friction once to some Royal Marines. Was it Marines? No, Commando Helicopter Force, commando units, and I did fire by friction. And it took a while. I got fire by friction going, and that was minus 8, and there was a bit of a breeze, and that was outdoors. Now, trying to do that in minus 55, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But
Is it
extremes.
also kind of going back earlier when we were speaking about the fondness of times, the memory is a good aspect of it. You don't have to answer this because I understand a lot of guys don't want to really talk about this with other folk. But what would you say was one of the darkest moments that you went through?
Darkest. Was it the worst? Probably the single worst time is I wasn't. Is finding out that my mate had been killed or was missing in action, and then the information slowly coming back through to finding out that he'd been killed. That's probably the most, as far as kind of impactful. That was probably it, really, for me personally. I mean, there's a picture. I can't really see it, obviously, because it's flared up. That picture up there on the back of the wall. That's a picture of Brian Budd.
VC
good mate of mine. Yeah. You know, I remember that day quite well. I'd just gone back out. Just gone back out on tour after being home on paternity leave. So I was just waiting. I was in Camp Bastion waiting for my blokes to come and collect me. They were driving. Well, they did a divert to come and pick me up, basically. And yeah, that same day was the day that Bry got killed. So that was probably, and as far as like impactful, something that's like bothered me the most on tour. That would be that. Yeah, there's actually things happen. Things happen on tour that things happen to everybody on tour, and some things you laugh about, or you know they're kind of expected, but you know, even if someone's shooting at you or firing a rocket at you and things like that, it's kind of when it misses, or someone tries to hit you with a mortar shell or something. When it misses, everyone just laughs and has a crack. Obviously, that's probably not that good for your mental health, really. That sort of stuff happening to you. But just being sat in a camp, in a tent, and finding out that, and hearing that one of your really good mates is first of all missing, and then hearing that he's been found dead. And I was on my own as well, so just kind of hanging around waiting. So that was, there's no one to sort of bat it off with. I just left with, left off. In fact, that's probably, I never actually thought of it before. Just saying it now, that's probably one of the reasons it kind of hit me pretty hard. Not so much at the time, but I just pushed it all deep down inside me. But afterwards, I guess I'd probably just sat there with my own thoughts about it. Yeah, so that probably wasn't. If I'd been around my mates, it would probably been totally different. But yeah, I'd say that probably is, mate. Yeah, in answer to your question, that's probably the worst or the darkest time. I think that period of like a couple of hours. It was it's pretty crap, really. Obviously, a lot worse for him, and a lot worse for the blokes who had to go out and recover him as well. But yeah, it was enough. I was miles away from it. But yeah, it's just horrendous. Yeah, do that.
I was going to say, I can imagine it must have been a horrible thing, but I can't actually say that because I'd think that'd be quite cheeky for me to say that because no one can really experience that unless you have actually. Well, no one could really understand that unless they have went through it.
I don't know, mate. I think you can. I try not to dramatise stuff. To be honest, it's just there's people go through loads of different stuff. But that's the good thing about being in the Pathfinders. Like I say, we had a lot of autonomy. So I might have been a corporal, like in Iraq. I was a corporal. I was in charge of my team. A lot of firepower, a lot of weapons. Not many blokes. But, I had a free reign. I had an area to work in, and how I went about business was up to me, really. Obviously, I'll talk to my blokes, make a plan, execute the mission or whatever. But then you've got blokes, so you've got a bit of freedom. But then you've got blokes who are like young lads doing things like convoy escorts, driving up and down roads, and then we give them grief all the time for being like RLC, they're being the loggies or whatever, and they're drivers. And it's not particularly alley or sort of it doesn't sound too cool a job, but out on them tours, that was horrendous because I made a massive point of not going near any roads because that's the obvious place for IEDs to get buried or hidden, and everyone knows that. These young lads and girls are driving up and down these roads in convoys, just a massive target, and they're not getting off that road. It's got a massive wagon. It's not hard for people to work out where they're going, and it's and they're getting. But that for me, that would have been much more stressful than driving around in a desert. And sure enough, we had like we might be 6 blokes, miles and miles away from anybody, but we've got freedom of movement. If something doesn't look good, I can change my mind and go on a different route. These poor young, these fuckers, mate, they're just stuck in a massive truck. Driving around, I would have hated doing that. That would have really wound me up. I'd have hated that. Just waiting to get shot at all day. But same with the blokes doing the bomber drills and that,
Yeah.
Horrendous job.
One thing I wanted to go back on that you just said was about how a lot of the guys now that are out the forces are quite conscious when they're going along roads. It relates to a story of a guy who I used to work with. His name was John, so I will call him Jock. Never got his surname for some reason, which I regret because I wish I stayed in contact with him because he was like, I guess you could say, like the dad at work. He was the one that you always looked up to in that. And he was ex-forces, he was ex-Royal Scots, he was actually a Gimpy gunner. Loved his time in the forces. He was in the Gulf, he was in Ireland, Kosovo, Bosnia. I believe he was in Iraq again in the early 2000s. But he left not that. He left just before the amalgamation of the regiment. And each time there was a large bang, he was immediately on one knee in a firing position, ready. Then he used to get really embarrassed because of it. And one time that sticks in my head the most was we went to the shops to get our lunch and we were standing in the shop. And whilst he was looking at the crisps section, you've obviously got all these options. You've got Walkers here, you've got Quavers there, whatnot, all over the place. He spotted, like, let's say, for example, a Quavers bag with Walker's plain. And when I went up to it, he, for some reason, just put his hand out and stopped me from touching anything. And he thought that this was a trap.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he was back in Iraq. He was adamant that this was trapped. And he was telling me, don't touch anything, do not touch anything, don't even move, watch where you're standing on. And at this time, I was this young laddie, so I was a wee bit confused here. But I just went to say to him, it's fine, look. And he was about to have ripped my head off when I went to grab it. But as I've showed him it, you just seen the relax coming back in his face. But it's one of the things I regret is not staying in contact with him because he was honestly one of the nicest guys I'd ever met. And he actually gave me a Second World War German bread bag because he got posted in Germany, and whilst he was in Germany, he got chatting away with two old German guys. Turns out one of them was in the Second World War. Guy came in the next day and gave him his splinter camouflage smock and his bread bag for the Second World War. So I used to say to him all the time, so when are you going to give me the smock? You gave me the bread bag, so when are you going to give me the smock? Come on, man.
Yeah. Natural progression. Yeah. Yeah.
Go
on, mate.
This is another reason why I'm doing this because I'm kind of hoping that one day, because he's right into military history and whatnot too, I'm kind of hoping that he might see this and recognise me and hopefully get in contact because I'd love to just speak to him again for even like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
just to ask how things have been going on.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of blokes like that. Obviously, back in the day, there's something I've written about I think it's in the book you've got, Regimental. I've written about a lot of the old boys. People always used to say when I was a kid, there was a lot of World War II veterans around still. And it was always the same. People in their family don't talk about the war. Everyone must say it. My granddad was in the war. He don't talk about it. Or the older people, my dad was in the war. He never talked about it. And then I just think when you've been on tours, you realise it's like because you don't want to talk about it to people who weren't there, because especially civvies, because not in a bad way, because in the army you've got your own lingo as well. So sometimes it's a different language, and I'm quite conscious of it. I try and speak, even though I've been out a few years, I still use a fair bit of army talk, but I'm quite conscious of it because I do a lot of teaching. Well, since I left the military, I've been teaching non-military people. I try and take myself before I start using army slang or lingo and put it into civvy speak. And then, if you want to tell someone a story about, I came back from Iraq, I think it was, and I've been back a week or so, and a couple of the blokes came around my house, and we were just having a brew. We were laughing and joking, and we were just talking about stuff we'd been up to out in Iraq and stuff. And then they left, and my wife came through, a few minutes after they left, and she seemed to have the hump with me. I thought, what's the matter? She's like, nothing. But there's a woman saying nothing. There's something wrong. And I was like, I feel like I've done something wrong. I don't know what I'm supposed to have done here, but you obviously got the hump about something. And she opened up and she said, I've just learned more about what you've done in Iraq, listening to you talk to your mates, than I have in a week. Because you didn't told me any of that stuff. And I said, like, what? I wasn't holding anything back. I just tell her what I think is relevant to tell her at the moment. But with the blokes, obviously, you talk about different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you'd done this, and I didn't know this had happened. And I was like, what the fuck would I tell you that? There's no context, you wouldn't have understood why we were there, what we were doing, or what it meant, or you just can't be bothered to explain everything. I was like, I'm not holding anything back. It's just not. They were there with me. That's why we're talking about it. Yes,
they can relate to it.
But yeah, they can't relate to it. Yeah, I think them old boys, especially like World War One and World War Two. I remember people sort of saying about his granddad had shell shock, or that's all they used to say was shell shock. Obviously nowadays we know that would have been plus probably PTSD. But everyone just said, "Oh, he's got shell shock," and I just remember thinking, because that's what I used to hear. Shell shock to me, I still imagine it now. Someone sat in a trench and just getting rattled like this from a shell, and it's like the shock from a shell. That's not, and I thought, oh, it's just a bit of shell shock. It's like, no, mate, it's not just a bit of shell shock. It's like that bloke was in a trench for a year, getting fucking bombed, and, watching his mates get slaughtered, and slaughtering other people. It's like, it's proper. The bloke's got real issues. But yeah, it's a funny old business. Yeah, soldiers, the ones that do talk about everything all the time. I've done a few podcasts and that, but I'm not one for. I'm not one for big time or bullshit. But the blokes who talk about it all the time about I did this and I did that, they're just normally just full of shit. And most veterans can spot a waffler a mile away. It's like that just didn't happen. Even when you read books, and I see stuff on telly, and I've tried reading quite a few books, I just can't get through them. I know full well that what they're saying is bullshit. That just didn't happen. And that's why with my books, why I've written my books is mega conscious that my target audience is people interested in the military, well, most of them, and veterans. That's the majority of people who buy my books are veterans, or the first few books. And I wouldn't risk bullshitting because I'll get called out. Like fucking right as well. I get called blokes go, that's bullshit. I was there, but then probably, even if they don't, because they just think, just leave him alone. He's just trying to make a living. But I want my mates have phoned me, privately and read my books and said, mate, that's mega. Or that's exactly how I remember it. It's really good, really well written in here. I forgot about that. But yeah. And I've chat people up before, write stuff as well. So this is how I. Well, I don't tell them how I remember it because I don't want to pollute. Not pollute. I don't want to influence what they think, what they're going to say. And I'll say, what happened here? I've got a memory of what happened here. How do you remember it? And if they tell me something different, I'm like, fuck. And I'll say, I remember it like this. One of my books, You'd Be Nuts Too, I think it was. I wrote a story about a couple of mates in a couple of the blokes out in Sierra Leone. We got a lot of rounds down. It's what's this book? This one. You'd Be Nuts Too, right? It's just loads of little sort of anecdotal stories and that in it. And one of them's about in Sierra Leone, and good mate of mine, Paul, and this other guy, Pathfinder called Mick, getting lots of rounds down, accurate fire from our defensive position. And I got the roles the wrong way round. And I was talking to Paul, Mick did this and Paul did this. And then as I was driving up to see Paul a couple of years ago, and it was just the first time I thought about it, and I thought, fucking hell, did I get that the right way around? Basically, one of them was on a spotting scope, a CWS, a night sight. One of them was on a GPMG, a machine gun. Because we didn't have any way for fixing the sight to the gun at the time. So one of them held it, and the other one did the fire, and the other one just brought him on by the tracer that he could see. Not up a bit, left a bit, right a bit. And I was talking to Paul on the way up. I was thinking, I'm sure I got that the right way around. I wonder if I'd got it wrong. I don't know what made me think. Probably because I was going to meet him. And we were chatting, and he bought a couple of the books actually, and he was like, "Oh yeah, can you sign this?" I said, "Mate, I've got a question about that. Did I get that bit right, the right way around with you and Mick?" And he went, he goes, no, I think actually, mate, to be honest, I think it was the other way around. And he said, I think I was on the gun and Mick was on the sight. And he's a mega humble bloke, really good guy called Paul. And I knew there's no way he wouldn't have forgotten that. He would have been 100%. He was just trying to be kind because he knew I spent time and effort writing this story. It was only painting a good light and painting him and Mick in a good light and highlighting the good work that they did. I was like, fuck. I said, mate, I was fucking snapping. He said, don't worry about it, mate. It doesn't matter. He said, I'm just glad that story's been told. He said, because, especially because Mick never got any kind of recognition for it at all. He didn't either. But he was saying, yeah. And I said, no, I'm snapping, mate. I said, don't worry, I can change it. I can live edit. And he was like, it's all right, don't worry about it. He genuinely didn't seem to care. I said, no, mate, I'll edit it. So I feel probably a couple of hundred of them books went out with it the wrong way around. I was just like, well, so I say in my books, like I've done a couple of books like with mostly short stories about military stuff. I caveat it with, look, this is how I remember it. This is how it was told to me, or this is how I remember it happening. But I accept every now and then there might be a couple of inaccuracies in there, but as far as I'm aware, everything I've written is exactly how it happened. But I can always edit. If someone gets hold of me and says that's a lot of bollocks, mate, I'll just deeper and then make sure I've got the accurate version down. But yeah, all the feedback so far has just been really, really good, to be honest, especially from veterans, which is really just in the last couple of days I've had a couple of blokes message me actually saying one was like, I've just been reading your book and laughing my fucking head off, and my missus is telling me to go, I've got to go sleep in another room because she's trying to sleep. And I'm just like, brilliant, cheers for that, mate. And sometimes people, they don't realise how massive effect that has, because I'm like, you just don't know, right? So putting a book out is quite a daunting task, especially some of the stuff I've written. I've been really open about loads of stuff, mental health stuff, personal experiences, and you just don't know how people are going to take it. But so far, it's all been really positive. You get the odd slagging off. It could be a bot, I don't know, or just some fucking tosser on the internet who's just sort of wanted to have it big. But generally, the feedback's been really, really good, which is great.
Yeah, I've only read Regimental so far, but I do intend to read your other books, especially your latest one that's just came out. And I've read it twice now. I've listened to it, and I've just bought a paper copy not that long ago. But I've got to say, mate, it's probably one of the best books that I've came across. Just the amount of detail that you go into telling what life was like as a member of the Pathfinders, all the things that you had to do in order to gain that position, just general life as a Pathfinder, places that you had been to, the interactions that you had with all these different people, the ups and downs, the mental health aspect of it, and the aftermath. But one thing that I really appreciate about it is that at the end of the book, you go into so much detail about the slang, army slang. And I think this is the only book that I've ever actually seen that, and that will help a lot of non-military people reading that as well.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Yes, it's done all right now. I'm going to do another audio book, probably on the Majority Report, the one I've just released recently. Probably do that in audio book. That's like coming to a completely different angle. That book, it's not military. There's a little bit on the army, but it's mostly like what the majority of people are talking about, in my opinion. It's that's what that book's all about. It's all about like contentious issues of the day, societal problems and reparations, slavery, cultural appropriation, genders, all that kind of stuff. I've read, about that stuff that everyone pretty much ends up talking about, when they're waiting for a bus or whatever. Just check over the shoulder first in case someone's going to go fucking not allowed to say that. So it's gone on a different tangent, but there's still a lot of research. I had to do a lot of research for it, and it's another enjoyable one to write. Yeah, I'll probably turn that into audiobook next, I guess. I'm not really too sure yet. But Regimental, mate. Like you say, that's that's kind of my best. No one's done the best. And I think having the audio book's really good for that. But what I did with the others, I've got so many stories, and I've got a book called Don't Ask as well. That's just like You've Been Up to is mostly like my stories, like anecdotes. Don't Ask. A lot of them stories are like other people's stories. I heard this story about this bloke once. It's them sort of stories. As far as I know, they're all true. There's some just mental stories in there, like we were chatting at the start. You know, what things blokes get up to when they've had a drink and that. There's Spider-Man's in there. It's a story about the rope. That's in there. Loads of little stories like that. And that's more kind of other people's stories. But quite a few people said to me, I thought it was going to be like an autobiography or chronological, because they're not chronological. They're just like, this is a bunch of stories about the jungle. This is a bunch of stories about nutters in the battalion. You know, this is a bunch of stories about people getting drunk and doing stupid stuff. So yeah, that's why I did Regimental like that. I was like, let's just where do we start? Let's just start from like my earliest memories and just keep going. So it's chronological, and it was easy to read as an audio, but I read it myself, and it's like my story, so it's like easy enough to read. It makes sense to me as I'm reading it, and yeah, that's still doing pretty good today. To be honest, that was a few of my books have gone to number one in their category, which is great. You know, I dropped out. I was kicked out of school. I didn't even finish school. You know, normal school. I was in a naughty boy school for my last stint, doing 3 days a week. So yeah, it turned out all right, you know, because we kind of get a reputation, you know, for para-reg being, you know, paras, you know, too thick to do anything else, or soldiers too thick, too stupid, so they join the army. But it's like we're not, you know, we have got brains. Just people just go off in different directions, you know. It's been that's been interesting, mate. No, I'm glad you enjoyed that. I'm glad you enjoyed that book. Yeah,
Well,
so,
before we start wrapping things up, mate, because we've been chatting away, even though I'm not complaining about the time, we've been chatting away for nearly, well, actually 2 hours now. Going back to what we were talking about earlier about leaving military service, what was the process for yourself when you left? Did you receive any help or anything like that when you were leaving?
well, when I left, so I kind of left twice. So I left, like, I did my regular service, did my 22 years as a regular. Yeah, I left, did that, and then basically I was out for a few weeks, and a job came up as a full-time reservist. Basically, I could just go back to same cap badge, same rank, same everything, same pay, but just under a different pay scale, basically, which was very similar to what I was on. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. So I kind of got out twice. The first time, well, I resettled twice. Yeah, when I left in 2020, like left proper, I was in a tri-service camp. So there's Army, Navy, and Air Force there. And I went to see the resettlement officer. And he was like, I don't deal with you, you're Army. I said, well, this whole camp is tri-service, mate. I said, you know, there's no one else here to deal with me to help me resettle. He's like, nah, it's not me, mate. He didn't want to know. And I was like, okay, who do I speak to then? He said, you need to speak to this woman. Anyway, I got fucked around quite a few different people. Not me. Ended up getting told that it was a woman in London. I think it was Norfolk, actually. Strange place. But so I ended up getting hold of this woman in London. And she said, oh yeah, I'm coming down to the southwest soon. I'll come down. While I'm down there, I'll come and see you. I said, all right, cool. When are you coming down? She's like, I'm coming down in 3 months' time. I said, that's no use to me. I said, yeah, I need to speak to someone like today or tomorrow. I said, no, well, I'm not coming down there. I was like, well, how are we going to work this out? Because it's just no good to me. I need to start working out how I get financed. And I'll get on courses and stuff. And then I ended up getting put into someone in a Navy base in Plymouth. That's still good distance away, and they weren't much help. It was all just so complicated, trying to work out how to get funded, and I ended up losing quite a lot of money because you know, you've got to fill out a lot of paperwork, and you need someone really, because it doesn't make sense to you, the terminology in it. Well, it doesn't make sense to me. Tick the wrong box, you know, you'll lose essentially like 1,500 quid. So I lost a good few hundred quid doing my own course, you know, pay out my own pocket, paying for stuff that I was actually entitled to get paid for me. So that was quite frustrating. And yeah, And that happens to quite a few people, I think. Quite a few people. You know, you need a good resettlement officer. And you need someone to really help talk you through stuff, someone who actually gives a shit. But I think them people are few and far between, to be honest. It's just a sausage factory, you know. They've got another person coming in. It's just another. And nowadays, especially nowadays, with everyone's got an email address, it's a faceless person on the end of an email. There's no personal connection with you. And they just want to give you the same few sheets of paper that are stapled together if they can be bothered to staple them together. And then next, it's just a sausage factory. And it's I didn't feel like it's handled all that well. You know, to be fair.
If you had the opportunity to change the way that things are handled, how would you change it to better suit guys that are leaving?
I don't know how I'd do it exactly. I try and simplify it. There's lots of things in there. Everything's done on computer. It's been a few years since I got out, so computer systems will have changed. But everything's there's not so much face to face. I've always operated if I'm going to go work with someone, I'll get posted to a base. I'll go and see them first. And I've always done that. And when I went back to the Pathfinders as a sergeant major in 2012, I think it was, I made a point of going up to brigade headquarters and going around and introducing myself to all the officers in the brigade headquarters, so they'd know who I was. So when I then sent them an email, I'm just not just a signature block. I'm like, oh, that's that bloke who came up and had a chat with. He seemed all right, and it makes things completely different. Now everything's just done. Click this, click that, click the other. You know, and it's like you could click on the wrong thing because the terminology is off, especially if you're a young private soldier, for example. You don't get resettlement, say you have to do, I think, 6 years. You know, you're not well educated, for example. You know, blokes just give up. And I'm like, you know, I was like that as a young bloke. I just go, you know what, I can't be asked for this. There's lots and lots of red tape and processes. It should just be really, really simple. You know, if you need money for a course, it should be like 1 step, 2 step sorted. It's not. It's emails, forms, there's paperwork, there's forms, there's electronic forms. You'll speak to this bloke for that money for that, this person for that money. It's like, oh, it's absolutely nuts. You know, I'm still owed. I think I can still claim it. I'm still owed £2,000 to put towards any course that I want to do because of the amount of time I served. But I doubt I'll ever use it because I haven't got the foggiest idea how to even start. You know, what I'm entitled to or anything. And it was bad enough whilst I was serving. Now, I just wouldn't have a clue. There'll be loads of people like me. I don't know what they get now, but my era of blokes or women, we were entitled to basically 3, depending on how much time you serve, 3 lumps of £2,000 towards courses. As long as you served over a threshold of time, probably 20 years or something, maybe less, I don't know. But I used 2 of them. I did 2 courses. One of them was all squared away. The other one, I lost money on myself, about 600 quid. But it should have been paid by the MOD. Some paperwork wasn't correctly done by me or in time by me or someone else who I'd forwarded on to. I don't even know. And the other one's just sat there. You know, it's like £2,000 worth of study or you know, money towards something of benefit to me, but it's just too much of a pain in the ass. It's the same with like compensation claims. You know, I was told to apply for compensation for my hearing. I've actually lost it. I mean, I've got hearing aids, and it's acknowledged by everyone. It's not contested by anybody that my hearing loss is at a frequency range of loss it's from military service, and there's a times when it happened, and basically what the hearing loss damage is. It's like that it's been caused by loud bangs, basically, and no one disagrees with that, right? I put in my compensation form years and years ago. It went on for years and years, and basically they came back to me and said, "No, mate, you claim too late, even though we accept it's the military's fault." You know, and it's quite a big deal because I didn't want to put a claim in against the military because I know it was mega sort of army-barmy, and I thought it felt a bit treacherous to me at first. So people explained it to me. But you're not taking money from your regiment or your battalion or you're not taking money from the army. You're taking it from the government. You're not taking it. You're just getting it. And it just went on for so long. I don't want to say, mate. Sorry, mate. So, go on.
Well, that's okay.
I'll just leave it there, mate. Leave it there. Yeah. It went on for so long. I just gave up. It's like, fuck this. It's like tribunal, another tribunal, and it's like, and I got to a point where I was moving house. I was still serving, a lot going on. Just like, I think I just left. And just left it. And people just can't believe it. So I'm pretty deaf. I'm all right like this because we're a lot one-to-one. But, I'm quite deaf, actually. And that goes on all the time. So people are losing out. People are losing out of resettlement. People are losing out of compensation claims because they get fucked around a lot. People just haven't got the patience. So now I say to people, when a claim goes in, just forget about it until another letter comes through. Cause it'll probably be a year or so. Then you'll hear something, and then they'll say, "We don't really want to give you this money. Do you still want it?" It's kind of that, really paraphrasing. Obviously, they're like, we don't think you've got a case. Do you think you've got a case? Any extra information? You're like, fucking right, you've got a case, and you'll write back. Send it off, and then it'll be another year, and then you get another message back, and we're still not really sure. And so, most people go, "Do you know what? Fuck this. This is a pain in the ass. It's been going on for 2 years." But it's, realistically, but even when you do win a case now, I've got told this recently from someone in the British Legion, compensation claims for people who've got the endurance to ride it out throughout the process, even if they get a win at a tribunal. And they start, all right, yeah, we owe you money. They're looking at a 12-month wait to actually get the money they're due. And that case is probably dragged on for 4 or 5 years. And they've got to wait another year before they see anything. That's a lot of stress. Imagine if that's like a mental health thing. And someone's like, got a lot of mental, and there's a lot of mental, a lot of people with a lot of mental health problems in Civvy Street everywhere. I was talking about, for military people as well. That's adding to your mental health, to your stress, your anxiety. It's another year of feeling, kind of let down by the system for a lot of people. Not everyone, obviously, but it can be. This, the process is. I've gone off on a tangent, mate. You always do this, but the processes are quite complicated.
Well,
that's what needs to be simplified, I'd say.
There's no need to be apologising about going off on a tangent, because this is what this is meant to be for. It's meant to be for veterans to express what they think needs to change. And what you've done right there is done exactly that. And that's what we're looking for. We're wanting guys to just, and women, of course, like what we've done with us, just to say what they think needs to change in order to help the veterans community, because, as I've mentioned before, not enough is being done. The priorities in the country at the moment is totally wrong, and it needs to change. It just has to change, because if it doesn't, we're going to just continue losing veterans at a far too young age.
Yeah,
their help needs to be offered.
Yeah.
One question.
Another thing I've written about in put it here, just in case you asked. I know you haven't asked. Got it on. This is my latest book, Majority Report. And that's a lot of the stuff I'm writing about in there. It's stuff like, how people are treated, how different people are treated in society, and there's actually a chapter in there. It's called, it's called People Who Are Better Than You. Right. It's obviously tongue in cheek, but basically, especially as I get heat for saying it, as a straight white man, everyone's better than you. You're an absolute scumbag in today's society. But yeah, that's like I don't know if you can see that, but that's the title. Yeah. People who are better than you. I've got reasons why, like little paragraphs on different people. Social justice warriors, anti-racist, environmentalists, mask wearers, celebrities.
See what you've just said there now about the straight white man's. Like, I mean, see the amount of times that myself personally, like, there's 3 of us that are in this group. There's me, Daryl, and a guy called Ash. So me and Ash started the group a couple of years ago. See the amount of times that people would say, straight white man, you're into history, you're most likely going to be a fascist or a Nazi. But why is that? How am I immediately a fascist and a Nazi just because I've expressed my interest in history? Doesn't get me wrong, I have got the odd Second World War German item, like what most collectors have got. But that's not to say that I'm a fascist or a Nazi. Yet people are just quick to label all these things without even thinking. It's just, they think it's a shock word, but it gets used that much now that to the point where you just go, yeah, just sure, whatever.
Yeah, it's been so devalued. It's just like I think that's a lot of the reason Trump's just won that election, because they just pushed it too far and everyone's sick of it, calling him a Nazi and all that. It's like, come on, mate, it's just ridiculous. I mean, that's something. One of my paragraphs in this book, Majority Report, is saying writing about that, basically about how anyone could be a Nazi now. Like, say you voted for Brexit, Nazi. You say you don't like Joe Biden, Nazi. It's like, fucking hell, mate, come on. You're really drawing a really mental comparison here. And I put the last line, I think, in that paragraph is like, Hitler would be spinning in his grave if he knew what people, the kind of people are getting called Nazis now. He's getting called Nazis now because the Jews in Israel, people are waving flags around, calling them Nazis. It's just insane. So, fucking hell, you do realise what the Nazi parties were all about, don't you? But they're not. It's just a worthless slur now, because it's just like, it means nothing, because they're just calling you it for absolutely no reason. It's just a baseless slur. It's like, without anything to back it up. But someone else will just, once one lunatic starts shouting it, other people will join in, and they'll start shouting it as well.
The amount of videos that I've seen online of guys going to different rallies, both different sides of whatever's going on, behind about like gender, modern politics, conflicts, whatever. And there's a guy that goes there, genuinely there to hear both sides' argument. I've noticed it always seems to be the more left side that are quick to start calling people names. This is meant to be the group that's meant to be all inclusive and welcoming and know about love and all that. But they're quick to, as soon as you make an argument that goes against their answer or contradicts their answer, it's, oh, you know what, you're obviously a Nazi, you're a fascist, you're this, you're a bigot. And I've like, well, what do I do? I've just asked you a question, and I just want to learn about your side of the argument here. So how does that make me a bad person? Just because I've exposed something that you can't answer?
Yeah. It's late. It's just lazy. Yeah, it's just lazy. That's all it is. They've got no other comeback. It's just completely lazy. I'm quite a literal person. Again, it's all stuff. This is all stuff written in this new book. I've got a lot of detail in there about. I've done a lot of research for that book to make sure my arguments are sound. But I'm not coming at it from a right or. I'm obviously right of centre. I'm definitely not left wing. I'd say I'm right of centre. But I've gone down the middle in this book. I tried to go down the middle. But I slag off everybody. Even soldiers get slagged. Everyone gets slagged off. There's a lot of tongue-in-cheek piss taken out of everybody, but it's. I've done my best to go down the middle and see it from both sides. It's just nutters everywhere, right? There's fucking lunatics everywhere, all over the left and right. But some of the stuff that's getting spouted now is just absolutely crazy. It's absolute madness. You just think, what the fuck is going on here? You've got to be able to back up what you say. You can't call people's stuff.
I even seen that the army is considering changing some of the ranks because to make it more inclusive. They're constantly about getting rid of the rank of rifleman.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. There's a few like that, yeah, senior aircraftsmen and things like that. Yeah, in the RAF, what else would there be? Seamen.
What I think's funny about that, so see in Liz McConaughey's book, she makes a comment on all these new changes of the system and everything like that, and Though my one's a bit more crude with my language I'm about to use, but she practically says that the whole thing's bollocks. And this is coming from a woman that was in the services.
It's just nonsense, mate. Most people. That's why I called this book Majority Report, right? Because the majority of people don't actually give a fuck about this stuff. They're really not interested. They've got more important things to worry about. It's just a small minority of people shouting, screaming. And we've all got to sort of change the way we speak and think and pretend to go along with them because we're worried of offending this small group of people. This is my opinion. But in my experience is the same as yours. I meet lots and lots of people. I was teaching some self-defense actually a couple of weeks ago to some school staff. They were like support staff in the school, and it was it's about 10 of them in the room at the time. And I said, "Oh, right, ladies, if you just look this way," and then I'm like, "Oh shit!" And I see there was one man there. I went, "Hey, gentlemen, sorry, and you, mate." I was thinking, I'm taking a piss a bit. I was thinking, you just don't know because a lot of people in the education system are really, really left wing. I thought, I don't want to even think about going down rabbit holes here. So I was just like, I said, I don't know. And I was just like jokingly, I was just like, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. No, I don't know what to say. I was like, well, the guys, everybody. And I was just mucking about. But it's like 2 or 3 of the women were just looking at me and just laughing. They said, we don't care. We don't care about that, any of that. And they were just laughing like, don't be stupid, mate. And I thought, that's good. They were really like, or whatever. They didn't give a shit. Just call us whatever you want, they said. I was like, good. Yeah, most people, the majority. That's why it's called majority report. So I'm reporting for the majority, what the majority of people are saying. And yeah, look, this is I've just found out a minute ago. Look, this is like writing about calling people Nazis here. Let me just find a bit here. But the Gaza-Israel conflict generated mass protests and counter-protests across the world, with one side declaring the other Nazis, and those Nazis turned out to be Jews. That's right, Jewish people. The people Hitler wanted to completely exterminate are now being called Nazis by a pro-Palestinian activist. He'll be spinning in his grave. It's just like a whole half a chapter on stupid shit like that. It's just crazy. And like people not making like Donald Trump. I've got all these references in there. They're like a politician has said something like his struggle. Talk about their struggle. And then people will go, my struggle? You know what Mein Kampf means, don't you? Mein Kampf means my struggle. And they do this absolutely horrendous, absolutely insane connection. Donald Trump said my struggle. Hitler's book, although it's called Mein Kampf, is called My Struggle. They're the same? Like, they're not the same. And then so I look up on like Amazon about let's have a look at other books that are called My Struggle. There's like My Struggle, My Life, My Beautiful Struggle, My Struggle to Be Well, My Struggle, His Glory. Obviously, it's some religious book. My Struggle to Become a Person. My Struggle with Spelling. And I'm saying, are they all fucking Nazis as well? Because they're saying basically My Struggle. Hitler said My Struggle. So it's just nuts, mate. These sort of tenuous links people are making is absolutely insane. Yeah, that drives me fucking nuts. As if I'm not nuts enough already. I've got to deal with that shit. Yeah, the military is a lot more simple. Because the military is a much, much more simple place. There's a hierarchy. I was saying to my missus last night, something really got my goat last night. And I was kind of, I was quite down for a bit, and I was just like saying, I fit. I'll tell you what I said to her, I'll tell you what I was good at doing. This is what I was good at doing. I was good at being a Pathfinder. And it's like, and looking back, I'm like, yeah, I was good at that. But when you come in Civvy Street, it's like everything's a lot more complicated. In the army, you know what you think you can have a crack, have a joke like Liz McConaughey. I've seen her in a couple of interviews. She seems really sound. She could have a crack. I no doubt I could say what the fuck ever I wanted around her. She's not going to take offence because she knows I'm just taking a piss. Same with me. She'd take the piss out of me. I'll take the piss out of her. But it seems a lot more ambiguous in Civvy Street. Not necessarily if you're amongst your mates or on a building site. I'm sure it's very similar. But in the army, you can spend your whole month not talking to anyone outside your platoon or your patrol. So it could be 4 of you, 6 of you, 30 of you, 120 of you, whatever. all these blokes all thinking pretty much the same thing. You know, and if you got a problem, if you were to declare, he called me they, and my pronouns are they, you know, you go, shut up, you fucking knob. You know, and then you get back in the pot. What the fuck, man? You got more important. No one's ever said that. You know, in a firefight, no one's ever said that shit. You know, it's like, right, he needs more ammunition. They've never got. I'm a Z, not a he. So they don't give a fuck when someone's shooting them. They don't give a fuck what you call them. You can get the name completely wrong. They don't care. They just want more ammunition. And the fact that you call them he instead of Z wouldn't even enter their brain. Sorry, because there's more important things to be, to be focused on. And that's just, Civic Street seems a lot more difficult to me. Having to watch what you're saying all the time, and it's more like that in the military now. Even my last few years working tri-service, you've got to be more careful because especially when you're teaching, you don't necessarily know the people you're teaching. But as a general rule, the army is a much more simple place. And then when you leave it and come out into Civic Street, oh fucking hell! I've written in that, but you've read it. I've done a table in Regimental. Do you remember it? Of saying about how you can speak to different people when you're taking fitness. I know some bloke phoned me up about that. He said he really liked that, and that was different, right? Because I'd be fucking like, well, if I want everyone to come to me like in the military, I do this. I can just do that, and everyone will come. That means on me, right? That means come to me. Everyone just see that go right. Everyone over there. It could be as simple as that. Or you go, right, on me. You just shout, on me. Everyone come. If I shout that in a PT, a class in City Street, no one knows what the fuck you're talking about. It isn't their, it's completely not their fault. They're not used to it. If they did a hand signal, everyone would just think you're itching your head or something. And if, you just do well like that. Like, excuse me, guys. Everyone, if I can have your attention, please. Yeah, please. Can you come over here, please? And they walk, some of them walk halfway there, some of them just look at you because they're like, I'm not walking all the way over there. It's fucking enough. Then the army, you go, fucking go over here now. And it's like, done. Yeah, City Street is different. It's different. It's not in a bad, not necessarily in a bad way. It's worse. It's just different. If you spent a long time in the army, the way you're used to acting and being and living and operating is gone now. Gone, mate. That's not how things work in City Street.
One thing I'm going to quickly ask before we finish up, mate, is this is actually one of Darryl's questions. This is a good question from him. We spoke to Liz. He asked, what are your views to your medals? Because some veterans take good care of their medals, are always in a frame and they're always getting clean, whatsoever. Some guys aren't that bothered about them. Yeah. So what does your medals mean to you?
My medal, all my medals, I'll be on there for that. When I was still serving, I always said I would never have military stuff up in my house. And then when I came to leaving, I thought, just before I was leaving, actually, I had a few leaving gifts from people, and I put them up. And then I had a couple of them, a picture of Bride Bird. I've got a Pathfinder picture up over there, and I've got like a couple of statuettes and that. And I thought it's just rude not to have them out. Now I've got a few things, and I thought, well, I'll put my medals up on the wall. But they're really tarnished, they need polishing. But it doesn't bother me that they're as far as I'm aware, they will just come off. They'll clean up all right. But to me, they're just something to hand on to my kids, to be honest. And I hope that they're worth some money one day if I do hand them on to my kids. And they're just this is what I think about medals, right? Medals aren't. They don't say what you've done. They just show where you've been. That's a big thing for me, because I've got some medals. Let's forget. I've got 8 mounted, and one that we got issued for a tour that you're not allowed to put on your rack, on your medals, called a non-Article 5. I can't remember why. It doesn't matter anyway. So, but there's people who've got the same medals, more medals, but some of the people that could be, no disrespect to them, could be a chef who never stepped outside a camp, or a clerk, same detail. Well, there could be a guy who's got 1 medal, but he did 3 absolutely horrendous tours of Afghanistan. He's only got 1 medal for it. You only get 1 medal per campaign. he could be an absolute legend, right? He could have just seen so much more crazy shit than me and done horrendous things and watched loads of his mates get killed and legs blown off. And, you know, if we were to look at a step by side, you go, oh, fucking hell, look at all these medals. Because I've got 8 and he's got 1, right? But this doesn't mean anything. It's like, fuck that, mate. You fucking should see what he done. Talk to him, mate. You want to hear some hideous stories? I can talk to him. You know, and then that bloke who's a chef. No respect, not disrespecting chefs because they do a mega job. You know, and their job is to chef. But he could have 12 medals. Yeah. And his stories are pretty much the stories about what happened at the hot plate. Or, you know, burnt some chips once. Set fire to the chip pan. I don't know. But they're not the same as this bloke's stories with 1 medal who's, you know, done all sorts of crazy shit multiple times. But in answer to your story, mate, yeah, I mean, if I found out my medals were worth a lot of money, I don't know how you get them valued or anything, to be honest. I've never looked into it. I wonder. But there must be some collections that are worth money. If I found out they're worth a lot of money, I don't know whether I'd sell them. My plan is just to handle. I've got 2 kids, so I don't know which one to give them to. There's a dilemma there. Like my missus says, you can't ever sell them. I said, why not? She goes, well, because you know, they're part of your history and all that. I'm like, yeah, you can just buy replicas. You won't have your number and name around the outside, right? And they won't be stamped, so they'll just be replicas. And like mine, I've got 1 medal. I can't remember now, but I've got medals from like Lance Corporal, I think, yeah, and Sergeant and Colour Sergeant, I think. So I've got medals at different ranks, which apparently makes them more desirable to like collectors. But I said to my missus, well, if I give them to the kids, if that kid didn't sell them, I wouldn't hold a grudge against them because I'd be dead. Their kid more likely to sell them, especially if I didn't have a relationship with them. And then their kids, my great grandkids, fucking right, they're going to sell them. I just think, well, I might as well sell them. You know, they don't mean that much to me. Mine were in a box for years and years, and I never got them mounted. First time I ever wore medals, I was a colour sergeant. I'd never, because I'd been in Pathfinders, we never did any kind of parades or anything. So I'd never even got my Northern Ireland medal mounted, which I got in 1998, I think. And then, yeah, we had a parade in one of the camps I was in, and I had to get my medals mounted there up in the loft, and they're still in their boxes. And I had to get them mounted, and then buy a set of miniatures as well, because by then I'd got I had a set of mesh dress. So the first time I ever wore mesh dress, which was really expensive for me. I had to get a set of mesh dress. Because I've been in Pathfinders, we didn't do mesh dues. And I had to buy miniature medals. The big medals you get issued, but you've got to pay to get them mounted, you know, sort of stuck together sort of thing. So it's quite an expensive mesh do for me, first one. But yeah, they're not that important, mate. Really, some people like, people like to show them off a lot. There's me saying that. Mine have been my dining room. I just don't know what else to do with them. I've got a few bits in my dining room. I've got my bed up right there, but yeah, I've never actually worn them out.
As me as a collector, straight away I'll answer your question. Yes, they'll be worth a few bob, but if you want my opinion, and my opinion has as much weight as my left bollock, I would possibly suggest maybe keeping them, mate. Because the reason for this is because this is just my opinion, and I'm kind of biased, of course, because me being a collector and being interested in history. What started it all off for me, so what started everything that's behind me, the page and everything like that, is my great-great-uncle's medals, John Collins. He died 19 years old in the First World War. He's just got a humble war medal and victory medal, nothing grand or anything like that. I've got them mounted up, they're actually just in front of me in the frame, and I've got the crosses with poppies all along this wall, and each cross is representing a family member that served from the first, well, the oldest one here was someone that joined up in 1895, and that was with the Cameron Highlanders. But this is from then till, I think the last one I know had joined up was in the 60s and had just seen Aidan, and that was it. But I've got a replica group to my great grandfather because he's my hero. He was in the First and Second World War. He was at the Black Watch, first actions at the Somme, wounded at the Somme, sent to the Naval Corps, got better, went back, was at Cambrai, Bapaume, Ypres. He got his trench chart as well, got his letters, photos. But that's from the final original that we've got from him. And I got in contact with him. We asked him what his entitlement was from that. Was it chat doing everybody in my family, people, distant cousins and whatnot, to try and find out what happened to them. Nobody knows. Rumours got about saying that they were sold years ago. And that was a bit of a downer because you're wanting that person's medals. If I ever did see them, even though they're no valued at this, I'd be paying more than £1,000 for them just to have them back in the family.
Yeah.
That's my paying it. But it's totally, of course, it's totally your own decision because at the end of the day, they are
I don't
yours.
think I'll sell them, mate. I just mean, if it's hard up, if I needed the money, it wouldn't break me to sell them. I'd just get replicas. But I want to keep them and hand them on, and I'll be long gone by the time someone sells them anyway. But yeah, legacy-wise, mate, that's kind of one of the reasons I wrote my first, well, not my first book, my second book, You'd Be Nuts 2, was because I don't know anything real. I know my old man, but we fell out a good few years ago. Well, I never lived with him. My parents split up when I was a baby and that, but we always got on. And then we fell out, and I just realised that I don't know anything about him. I got no sort of anecdotal stories. I don't really know anything about the book. He's never told me anything. I don't know. Maybe he's just quiet. I thought, well, I don't. He's just, when he goes, there's nothing I could pass on to my kids about. Oh, Granddad did this. But I've written a lot of stuff. Everything I've done almost is written down now. Not even thoughts and stupid shit I did, crimes I did when I was younger, stuff I regret, stuff that makes me really upset, or stuff that makes me embarrassed. It's all written down. And my kids know I've written books. They haven't read them because I'm their dad. I'm just a boring old prick. But when one day they'll read them and go, because there's some pretty cool stuff, they'll go, fucking, I didn't know he did that. I wasn't always fucking old.
Well, in a way, you kind of remind me of my fella because my fella, he's got a bit of a reputation. He's in a couple of books himself. He's mentioned them. It's more along the lines of football hooliganism. He was massively involved with that. And he's mentioned a couple of books in that, and he's actually features on the front covers of a couple of them as well. He's quite well known because of that. And I didn't feel he used to tell me stories and everything like that, walking about the streets of Edinburgh, Aberdeen, Glasgow, whatnot. He'll point out areas. I got arrested there. Do you ken anybody that's ever been arrested upside down? I did right there. How do you get arrested upside down? Oh, you see, I was trying to escape from the police, and this big busy's just jumped at the bushes and he's got me, and he somehow managed to get me upside down. And I ken how he's done it, but he has. My head's touching the ground, my feet's in the air, and he's managed to restrain me. And another guy came over and they both just picked me up, so now I'm totally upside down, and they cuffed me. All right. Well, I can't say I've ever met somebody that's been arrested upside down. I'll let you go. That makes me unique. But
what firm was he with?
CCS, Capital City Service. Hibs Mob.
What team's that? Rangers.
Hibs, Hibernian. Didn't I say Rangers?
Are you Celtic, are you?
No, I'm Hibs.
Oh, you're
that was Rangers.
I get mixed up with them now. I know the Celtic and Rangers side, but which side do the Hibs sit on? They're on the Celtic side, right? As in the Catholic side.
But it's not as big with Hibs. It's not as big compared to Celtic and Rangers. But Hibs is the Edinburgh team along with Hearts. And Glasgow, you've got Rangers and Celtic. Darryl's a Rangers fan, even though he's from Edinburgh.
Yeah, I don't know all that stuff. I got nothing to say about it, mate. I don't follow it at all. It's just like
No, I
me.
used to follow it. But I end up kind of losing interest, and now I'm a rugby fan instead. I'm a Edinburgh fan and a Harlequin fan.
Oh, right, yeah.
So
I mean, the only time I sort of learned about it through the army. I've got a lot of Scottish mates. I was thinking actually when you started talking, I thought I bet a lot of people English blokes struggle to understand what you're saying because you've got quite it's not massively strong. I've got loads of Scottish mates, but it's to go to Northern Ireland. That's where you sort of see the difference. Celtic and Rangers, blue or green. And it's like you know what sort of area you're in, right? And some bloke from Northern Ireland fucking acting dodgy with me. My mate told this bloke I wasn't in the SS, and my civvy mate told his mate who was a scaffolder. And he was a Northern Irish bloke, and he told him where I lived, and I was thinking about getting my roof done. He said, "Oh, this is that bloke." I can't remember his name. A really strong Irish accent. I'd not long been in Northern Ireland. And he said, "Oh, you're Danny's mate. You're the one in the SAS." I was just like, "Fucking hell." Right, well, you'd have to say that anyway, wouldn't you? I was like, "Well, I suppose so, yeah, but I'm not telling you, I'm not in the SAS." So why'd you fucking tell him that for? He said, "Well, because you are, aren't you?" I said, "No, I'm not, mate. I never told you I am. I don't know why you think I am. I'm in the Paratrooper Regiment." Which isn't, obviously, that's just as bad to someone who's like, a Northern Irishman who doesn't like soldiers. I was just like, fuck it. Anyways, but yeah, I was going by you. And he told me where you lived. I've had a look. I can get stuff. And I was just going, "Oh, you're fucking kidding me." I was like, "Okay, you're Northern Irish, aren't you?" "Yeah." And I just said to him, "What team do you support, mate?" And he goes, "I support Celtic, mate." And I went, "Oh, right." And he just started laughing. He said, "I know what you're doing." He goes, "Yeah, we know what we're doing, right?" I said, yeah, I know what it is. He goes, "You know what that means?" I said, "Yeah, I know what it means." He was all right, you know what I mean? I'm not saying they're all the same. I just, at that point in time, I was just thinking, fuck me, mate. What are you trying to do here? Get me fucking killed, you know what I mean? Then some bloke, well, they could have said, "Oh, I'm Rangers." It would have been, I'd have been, not so bad, you know. I don't have to worry so much. But yeah, I'm Celtic. He's looking at me like, yeah, fucking, I don't like you lot. I'm like, "Yeah, all right, mate, I get it." But he was all right, you know. He was a mate of a mate. He probably, even if he was one of them, he probably wouldn't have done out. You know, he's some sort of code or something. I don't know. It's like, fucking hell, mate. Why are you telling everyone I'm in the SAS? Because I know you are. I'm like, "I'm fucking not."
oh man. Anyway, mate. Well, wrap this up and let you get on with the rest of your night. Before we go, what's the name of your new book again?
The book is called Majority Report. If you can see it very well. I'll get some more on Amazon, mate. All my books are at Amazon, Kindle or paperback. And Regimental's on audiobook as well. Regimental. But yeah, cheers for that, mate.
As always, mate. Darryl, you want to ask any questions before we wrap it up?
No, I'm fine. My mic's been hissing the whole time, so I've had it on mute. That's why I've not been talking, because I've had it on mute the whole time. So,
Well, Steve, thanks very much for taking the time out of your day to chat to us. It's much appreciated. Before we actually wrap this up, again, this is probably the fifth or sixth time I've said that now. When it comes to auctioning off the flag for raising money for charity, what charity would you like to see the funds go to?
Probably support our paras, I think, mate. You heard of them?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah. I think that way. I've got a lot of them. Well, I know a lot of people who like work for them or do stuff for them, so it seems like a good cause.
No problem. I'll take a note of that for you, mate.
Nice one.
And again, Steve, thanks very much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And I can't wait to have a go in your other books.
Yeah, have a listen, mate. Let me know what you think. Send me a message or something.
I will do, mate. Well, thanks again, mate. All the best. Take
Nice
care.
one, mate. Cheers, gents. Take it easy.
Cheers.